Naruto God Level System, Chapter 1081-1100. Chapter 1082. You should have called my teacher to ask, what do you see me doing? Chen couldn't help but ask Xiao Ai, who was staring at him with the moonlight. Have you smelled it? There is a fragrance on your body. Xiao Ai stared at Chen and said, fragrance. Chen Wenyan first sniffed on his own body, and then really found the fragrance, and Chen was very familiar with it. This is Shaolin's fragrance. Cough. I didn't expect Xiao Ai to have such a sensitive nose. Chen said after coughing twice. I have to say that Xiao Ai's nose is really sensitive, and she can smell such a faint fragrance. Is it Shaolin's? Xiao Ai looked at Chen and asked. Looking at Xiao Ai looking at her eyes, Chen was embarrassed to deceive Xiao Ai and nodded directly to Xiao Ai. I knew, Xiao Ai stood up with a cold snort, then glared at Chen, then turned and left. Chen touched his nose, and then saw Yuhizi suddenly sitting beside him, and said to him, I know it all, Yuchizi has already told me everything just now. What did Yuhizi tell you? He glanced at the place where Yuchizi was, but found that Yuchizi was no longer there and had gone back to rest. 29_. I said everything. Do you think I'll believe you? I guess Yukiko didn't tell you anything. Otherwise, you wouldn't come to me. Chen He smiled and said, how did you know? Yuhiko asked depressedly. Because I know you too well, I can tell just by looking at it. I can't help it. I know you too well. Chen threw his hands towards Yuhizi and stood up. Chen, where are you going? Tell me, let's talk. Is there really something you can't say? Yuhiko, maybe you've been with Sonoko for a long time, and you've become more and more 8 trigrams. What do you know so much? Chen waved his hand to the little Izumi Yuhiko. Then he returned to his room. Does it take more time? Guess it. Belmod said, looking at the little Izumi Yuhiko. Can you guess? Yuhiko looked up at Belmod. Now just look at Xiao Ai's face. You can know the real situation now. Belmod gestured to Yuhizi and asked Yuhizi to take a look at Xiao Ai. Yuhizi couldn't help looking at Xiao Ai, only to see Xiao Ai's cold face, the appearance of being close to other people. Yuhizi couldn't help but be stunned for a moment. What are you looking at? Xiao glared at Yuhiko. It seems true. Yuhiko nodded involuntarily, then turned away the moonlight. I don't want to stimulate Xiao Ai anymore. The next morning, it was time to go to school again. Chen got up early. After breakfast, Chen is going to send Xiao Ai to school. You don't need to send it. Xiao Ai said to Chen indifferently. Her tone seemed a little indifferent. Well, not really, just a little indifferent, with a cold tone. As if there was no emotion at all. Tisk tisk, Xiao Ai is still angry. Xiao Izumi Yuhiko smiled and looked at Chen. Looking at Xiao Izumi Yuhiko's smiling face, Chen suddenly had the urge to beat her. Don't speak for help at this time. Still watching jokes. All right. In fact, Yuhizi was also a little angry in his heart, to be precise, jealous. So don't say help Chen. It's good to not teach Chen a lesson. Xiao Ai walked towards the school with a cold face. Chen looked at Xiao Ai's back, and finally followed. She walked up and took Xiao Ai's hand, smiled slightly at Xiao Ai, and said, let's go. I don't worry about you going to school by yourself. HMPH, do you treat me as a child? Xiao Ai snorted coldly, but after the cold hum, Xiao Ai's expression is much better. It's not as cold as before. I just don't want Chen to see it, so I try my best to show that I'm very unhappy. To be precise, Tsunere. No way. Xiao Ai has always been like this Tsunere. Send Xiao Ai to the school, and then Chen and Yuhizi walked towards the school. By the way, it seems that Judy hasn't come in the last few days. Chen suddenly thought that Judy didn't seem to go to his house to learn ninjutsu recently. Why not? That's because you are often away from home these days, so I think Judy didn't go there. In fact, Judy and Ten are here. Little Izumi Yuhiko said to Chen. Oh right, Elle shouldn't be called Teacher Judy now, Judy should call me teacher now. Little Izumi Yuhiko said proudly. Did you teach her magic? Chen asked curiously. No, she and I asked for ninjutsu, so I am now her teacher. Little Izumi Yuhiko said. You are each other's teachers, so if you say that, you should call me teacher. Chen looked at Yuhiko and said, don't forget your ninjutsu or something. I taught it all, so it shouldn't be too much to call me teacher. Well, it's not too much, but do you think I'll call you teacher? Little Izumi Yuhiko glanced at Chen, then turned her head away. I don't care about Chen at all. Ah, you're going too far. Chen shrugged and said involuntarily, hurry up or you will be late. Yuhizi didn't want to talk about this with Chen, and directly pulled Chen to run faster. I don't think you are someone who cares about being late. No, you're wrong, I'm very concerned. Of course, now I want to see you and Shaolin meet 407 in school, will it be embarrassing? Yuhiko smiled slightly, and then said with a black belly. Awkward. This is not at all, just like the two of us, there is no embarrassment. Chen looked at Yuhizi, and there was no embarrassment between him and Yuhizi. Of course you don't feel anything because of your thick skin, but Shaolin is different. I want to see what Shaolin will be like. Reaction. Yuhizi said with some concern. Then Yuhizi didn't wait for Chen. He ran straight ahead, completely leaving Chen behind. Yuhizi, you just said that I have a thick skin and you want to run, how can it be so easy? Give me a stop and obediently admit my mistake, maybe I can let you go, otherwise don't blame my subordinates for being merciless. Chen shouted to Yuhizi. Hee, you can catch up with me first. Yuhizi disappeared instantly. Chen looked at Yuhizi's disappearing figure, smiled slightly, and then the figure disappeared. The next moment Yuhizi was captured by Chen. It was very embarrassing for Yuhiko who was caught. Yuhiko, don't you think naively that you can run away in my hands? If you really have such an idea, I think you should throw away this unrealistic idea. Chen said to Yuhizi. Yuhizi looked depressed. Sure enough, no matter how serious she practiced, she still couldn't compare to Chen, and she was caught directly. Chapter 1083. Shaolin's secret to becoming beautiful. Now tell me what to do. Chen walked towards the school while holding Yuhiko. Cough, Chen, can you let me go first? Being held by you like this makes me feel very unimpressive. Yuhiko said to Chen after coughing twice. Yo, it turns out that you are also concerned about the image, Yuhiko. Chen said teasingly, looking at Yuhiko. Of course, how could I not care? I am also very concerned about this issue. Yuhiko nodded immediately and said. She looks suffocated now. Wouldn't it be too embarrassing to let other people see it? You must know that she is a relatively cold and arrogant character in school. If it is broken by Chen, I will feel ashamed if I want to be a little Izumi Yuhiko. It's okay to let you go. Chen said and let go of Yuhizi, but Chen didn't say anything. Chen, do you have to be polite? So don't have the same knowledge as me. Little Izumi Yuhiko said to Chen after struggling for a while. Don't have the same knowledge as you. I am sorry, this is impossible. I'm thinking about how to teach you a lesson now. Chen squeezed his fingers. Of course, this was actually just to scare the little Izumi Yuhiko, and the little boy Izumi Yuhiko also knows. Knowing that Chen doesn't really do anything. It is precisely because she knows that now little Izumi Yuhiko is not afraid of Tatsu's threatening intentions. Remember to promise me one by one condition. I'll let you go this time. Chen said to the little Izumi Yuhiko. Conditions? What conditions? Yuhizi asked Chen. If it was an excessive condition, then Yuhizi would never agree. Don't worry, don't you know me? I will never say anything too much. After all, I'm not that kind of person. Chen patted Yuhiko on the shoulder and said to Yuhiko. Yuhiko couldn't help but pouted, although Chen said so, but in Yuhiko's eyes, it didn't seem to be convincing. Why are you looking at me with such suspicious eyes? I feel like you don't believe me. Of course, if it is the condition you put forward, it must be too much. Anyway, if it is too much, I will never agree. Yuhiko said to Chen first. Okay. Chen nodded and agreed simply, as if he was not going to embarrass Yuhiko, which made Yuhiko look at Chen in surprise. I didn't expect you to agree so easily, I thought it was a dream. Yuhizi himself did not expect that Chen would agree so easily. Chen glanced at Yuhiko. In my heart, I am thinking about what method to use to rectify the Yuhizi under L4. It didn't take long before he came to the school. After Chen and Yuhizi arrived in the class, Chen saw Shaolin sitting on the chair at a glance, besides Shaolin, Yuanzi, and Yi and the others. At this time, Yuanzi and Yi were surrounding Shaolin, while Shaolin was lying on the table. Her face seemed to be Yuhi. She must be hurting something. Yi, didn't you go home? Chen looked at Yi and said rather strangely that Yi had followed him to Chen's house to stay temporarily, but after staying for one night, Yi went home. I didn't expect to see Yi early in the morning when the school started today. Chen thought that even if Yi came back, he would have to wait until the afternoon, because I came back yesterday. Yesterday, it was Shaolin's mother who lived in Shaolin. Home. Yi raised his head and said to Chen. Then what are you doing around Shaolin? Chen asked the two of them if someone who didn't know came in. I'm afraid they will think that the two of them are bullying Shaolin. Of course Shaolin has become beautiful. I want to ask what is the secret of Shaolin's beauty. Sonoko said with bright eyes. Yeah, I've been curious since yesterday, but unfortunately Shaolin didn't tell me no matter what. Yi pouted. Do you really want to know? If you, Chen, you mustn't say it. Shaolin stood up and immediately said anxiously to Chen. Of course, Shaolin herself has changed so much. Also no Akatsuki. It's just that Shaolin didn't want Yuanzi, Kazuya and the others to know. Since Shaolin doesn't want me to say, then forget it, I won't say it. Chen said at Shaolin with a slight smile. In fact, Chen didn't plan to say anything at all. Just to tease Shaolin just now. Yuhizi, who was following behind Chen, couldn't help but pouted. In fact, he was very much in his heart. This is actually normal, and it is not normal to not be jealous. Chen, it seems you know, can you tell us? Sonoko asked Chen with a smile on his face. He also came to Chen's side, and looked at Chen with expectant eyes. And at this time, Shaolan, too, couldn't care less about being shy, and looked at Chen likewise, of course. Shaolin is different from Yuanzi and Yi, and Shaolin is afraid of Chen's words. Of course I can't tell your secrets, so you just give up. Don't keep asking. Just kidding, of course Chen wouldn't say it. After all, Shaolin's emotions must be considered. After all, Shaolin is very easy to harm. Really don't say it. You see we have already asked. Are you embarrassed to say nothing? Sonoko said unwillingly. Yeah, I also want to be as beautiful as Shaolin. He said to Shang Chen. After He finished talking, Shaolan and Yuhizi stared directly at He, and He was a little confused. So, did she say something wrong just now? Probably not. What's wrong? He asked Shaolin and Yuhizi suspiciously. It's nothing. Shaolin lowered her head directly, and at the same time secretly glanced at Yuhizi, seeing Yuhizi's appearance, as if Yuhizi knew. Okay, the class is about to start. You guys have paid the money, hurry up and return to your own position. Chen said immediately, and at this moment, the class bell rang suddenly. Yi and Sonoko could only reluctantly return to their seats. But the garden did not give up. But she plans to continue to ask after class, if she doesn't come out in time anyway. Sonoko will never give up. Just then Judy, an English teacher, came in. Judy Moonlight glanced at Chen's position. Chen was a little unclear, so Judy looked at him just now. There seemed to be some meaning. What happened? Forget it. Chen didn't think about it. Wait after class. Ask Judy to understand. Why are you still guessing here? How boring. And Chen is not a person who likes to guess puzzles. Turning his head, he glanced at the location where Hattori Heiji was, but Hattori Heiji did not come. Is it not coming anymore? Chapter 1084. The truth is just as you think. Chen was thinking about Hattori Heiji not coming when the door of the classroom was suddenly pushed open, and then Hattori Heiji hurried in from the outside. Sorry teacher, I'm late. Hattori Heiji saw that Mr. Judy was already standing on the stage. He scratched his head embarrassedly and said, It's all Conan's fault. If it wasn't because of Conan, he wouldn't be late. Hattori-san, forget it this time. I don't hope there is a next time. Otherwise, I don't mind going to your head teacher to react. Judy glanced at Hattori Heiji lightly. Then let him in. Hattori Heiji after he came in. And Guang first glanced at Chen, and then at Shaolin. He opened his mouth, and Hattori Heiji was about to say something. At this time, Judy spoke up. Hatobe-san, are you still going back to your seat? Do you want to stand here and listen to the class? All the classmates looked over. Hattori Heiji was embarrassed, and then immediately he ran to his seat. But after getting to his seat, Hattori Heiji stared straight at Tatsuya. During the few days of vacation, Hattori Heiji and Konan went crazy looking for Hyuga Tatsuya. But they just couldn't find Hyuga Tatsuya. This guy. I didn't find Shaolin either. Konan is going to shut himself up because of this, and he was late to persuade Konan H. Chen glanced back. 977 then thought. Moved, and the chair that Hattori was sitting on snapped. It broke with a bang. Then the whole person fell to the ground. Chen didn't like people staring at him. Especially this person was still a man, so I gave this guy a little warning to Hattori Heiji. Hattori Heiji was thrown hard. The most important thing is the strange eyes of the classmates in the class made Hattori Heiji a little annoyed, and he glared at Hyuga Chen fiercely. Of course, this was not because Hattori Heiji noticed that Chen had something to do with him, but Hattori Heiji felt unhappy, so he glared. After China got up, Hattori Heiji could only stand and listen to the class first. As for the chair, he had to wait until the class was over before trying to figure out a way. It was a bit tortuous for Hattori Heiji, and he finally looked forward to the end of the class. Then Hattori Heiji left immediately. Classroom. But after the class, it was a bit tortuous for Chen. I saw Sonoko's eyes were shining brightly at Chen, just looked at him like this. Let Chen not know what to say. Sonoko, what do you think? What are you doing? Chen didn't understand, and asked Sonoko. You haven't said anything about the past. I feel a little strange between you and Shaolin suddenly. Sonoko Kieguang looked between Chen and Shaolin. I have to say that Sonoko's eyes are very sharp, so I can find out something. It seems that Sonoko is also suitable for being a detective. Wouldn't be a detective. Too lazy to talk to you. Chen was lying directly on the table. No matter what Yuanzi was forced to do, Chen would not answer directly. Yuanzi was full of anger. As for asking Shaolin, Sonoko has passed it before, but ask anyway. Shaolin didn't tell herself why she had changed so much. I think I understand. Hii Zaichan and Shaolin glanced at each other, then lowered his head and said in a low voice. Hii, you understand 3 inches. Sonoko looked at Hii with a blank expression. Sonoko, I think it's better not to tell you. Hii looked at Sonoko. Although I understand what happened. But he still didn't want to tell the garden. Because of such a thing, I'm embarrassed to tell Yuanzi, and I have to take care of Shaolin's emotions. Do you really know Hai? Shaolin asked Hai embarrassedly. He stared at Shaolin. Nod lightly. Shaolin's change was so obvious. Hiejia also guessed what he knew about. Some knowledge. Don't worry Shaolin, I won't talk nonsense. He looked at Shaolin's embarrassed appearance and said to Shaolin. Shaolin nodded and didn't say anything, but Shaolin still quietly instructed Hii not to let Yuanzi know. Because Sonoko couldn't keep a secret at all, if she knew it, it wouldn't take much, and the whole school would know about it. Shaolin didn't want to see such a situation happen. I know. Hii nodded towards Shaolin. After all, he and Yuanzi have known each other for a long time. Kazuya also knew Yuanzi very well. What are you two whispering about? Sonoko looked at them with some dissatisfaction. I don't know what they are whispering. She couldn't hear either, but it was clearly behind her back. It made the garden's heart uncomfortable. Even after seeing Sonoko's dissatisfaction. Kazuo didn't tell Sonoko either. So Yuanzi waited until school with curiosity. Shaolan, I want Xiaoai on the way. Chen waved at Shaolan and said. Shaolin nodded. In fact, with Shaolin's skill, that terrifying karate would definitely not encounter any danger. What's more, Shaolin is still with Hii. Hii's fighting power is also quite strong. If you really encounter bad people, you should worry about bad people too. Chen and Yuhizi went to Deaton Elementary School together and came to the gate of Deaton Elementary School. She found that there was not only Xiaoai herself, but another person waiting here. Then Conan, who had eyes on Yuhi, he wants to find you. After seeing Chen coming, Xiaoai pointed at Conan and said lightly, Hyuga Chen, that day you brought, where did Xiaolin go? Conan asked Chen angrily. Xiaoai glanced at Chen, and then snorted coldly. Sure enough, her guess was correct. Chen really had something to do with Xiaolan. Xiaoai felt very unhappy in her heart, if she could. Xiaoai has the thought of carrying Chen equals ton viciously. So you were asking this. I'm sorry, but I don't seem to be able to answer. Chen looked at Conan and said with a smile. Bastard, tell me. Conan looked like he was going to eat Chen. Well, since you really want to know, it doesn't matter. The facts are the same as what you think, so now what you think in your heart is what it is. His face was ashen, and he felt that his head was a little green. I almost fainted. Sometimes if you know the truth, maybe it's better not to know. After Chen finished speaking, he didn't have the intention to chat with Conan. Xiaoai, go. Chen walked to Xiaoai's side, took Xiaoai's hand and said. Yeah. Xiaoai nodded, but when Chen came over, she kicked Chen to express her dissatisfaction. Looking at Xiaoai's appearance, Chen's face couldn't help but show, white helpless, of course, but also a little proud, because Chen knew the reason why Xiaoai was angry. It's a little pitiful. Yuhiko gave Conan a sympathetic look, then quickly followed Chen. Chapter 1085. The conversation between Dr. Akasa and Yusaka Kudo. Conan looked at Chen's back, biting Kiba angrily, with extreme unwillingness in his heart. He didn't expect this to happen. His fists gradually clenched. Conan wanted to go to Hyuga Chen desperately. But before Conan started, someone suddenly blocked Conan. Of course, this person was Hattori Heiji. Hattori Heiji had already returned to Dr. Akasa's house, but after seeing that Conan had not returned, he immediately rushed to the school to take a look. Conan, don't. Shut up and get out of the way. Conan broke free from Hattori Heiji, who was pulling him, then rushed towards Chen, and then kicked at Chen. Chen turned around, and just as he was about to shoot, Conan was directly knocked out. Chen's eyes couldn't help looking at Yuhizi. Yuhiko shot just now, and directly beat Kainan out. Would you like to thank me? Yuhiko blinked at Chen, and asked Chen, I need to thank you for such a trivial matter. Chen couldn't help but pouted. HMPH. Yuhiko snorted, a little dissatisfied in his heart. Conan, are you okay? Hattori Heiji immediately ran over and asked Conan, while looking at little Izumi Yuhiko angrily. I didn't expect this woman to be so ruthless. Conan glanced at Hattori Heiji with difficulty, and then the whole person fainted. At this time, Hattori Heiji couldn't care about anything else. He immediately picked up Conan and ran towards the hospital, too late to trouble Hyuga Chen and the others. The key is that Heiji Hattori also understands. He didn't have the ability to trouble Hyuga Chen at all, and it was not easy to have to convince Heiji to see through it. Probably because he has learned a lot in the past, he has become smarter. Let's go back. Chen didn't do anything else. As for what Conan would do in the future, this Chen didn't care at all. Anyway, Amir Conan is not capable of causing any trouble to himself, and even if he counts Conan's father, Kudo Yusaka, he cannot cause him any trouble. Chen and the others went home, but Conan went to the hospital. Hattori Heiji called Dr. Akasa immediately after taking Conan to the hospital. Akasa Hiroden is not good. Conan is in the hospital now, come and have a look. Hattori Heiji immediately reported to Dr. Akasa. Hearing this, he immediately asked Hattori Heiji anxiously. Conan was injured. The doctor said it was very serious, and he couldn't explain it on the phone at all. Come and have a look. Hattori Heiji couldn't say a word or two, so he thought it was better for Dr. Akasa to come over and talk about it. And he had to ask Akasa Hiroshima to come over. The reason is very simple. Because Hattori Hiron has no money in his hands. After all, Hattori Hirano is just a high school student. Although he worked part-time as detective too before, he didn't know the importance of money, so he didn't collect money, so now he doesn't have much money at all. Okay, I get it, I'll go right there. Ali Boshi did not continue any longer. Prepare to wait and see for yourself. Soon Dr. Ali came to the hospital, and Conan was still in a coma. Are you the parent of this kid? I'm his attending physician. A doctor looked at Akasa Hiroten and said, Yes, I'm Conan's guardian. Hiro Akasa nodded 10 times. He seems to have been hit by a heavy object, and his injuries are not minor, but there is no danger now. However, I hope you can settle the medical expenses. Akasa nodded 10 times, and after sending the medical cow away, he looked at Hattori Heiji. Heiji, what's going on? Dr. Aga pointed to Conan who was lying down, and then asked Hattori Heiji, but he wanted to see Conan personally. But Conan is in a coma right now. It has something to do with Hyuga-chen. Hattori Heiji said with an ugly face. To be precise, it was not just Hyuga-chen, but also little Izumi Yuhiko. Hattori Heiji did not expect that little Izumi Yuhiko, that woman, was so powerful. Dr. Agasa frowned, and then sighed. Alas. After that, Hiroto Akasa didn't say anything more to Heiji Hattori, but sat aside and waited for Conan to wake up. However, Dr. Akasa was thinking in his heart, should he make a phone call and inform Yasaka? Otherwise, it won't work like this. Dr. Aga can understand that he can't fight against Hyuga-chen with Conan's ability. If Conan continues like this, it is estimated that his life will be over. So let's inform Kudo Yu. Let's do it. Heiji, look at Conan first. He will inform me when he wakes up. I have something to go out. Akasa Hiroshi said to Hattori Heiji, and then walked outside. After walking outside the ward, Akasa Hiroshi hesitated again. After all, Conan had told him before, and he was determined not to tell his father. Alas, Shinichi blames me. Then talk about it later. Dr. Akasa finally made up his mind and had to tell Yasaka Kudo. He took out his mobile phone and dialed Yasaka Kudo. Although Yasaka Kudo has not been back for an unknown time, Hiroten Akasa still owns Yasaka Kudo. Sukuru's contact information. After a long time, the phone was connected. Akasa Hiroshi, I didn't expect you to call me. Could it be that something happened to Shinichi? Kudo Yasaka asked. The doctor was speechless. As expected, it was Yasaka Kudo. I guessed it as soon as I guessed. Yuzuku, you're right. Something happened to my son Shinichi. Akasa Hiroshi said immediately. Yasaka Kudo on the other side of the phone shook his hands, and then asked, what happened? Is it serious? Shinichi offended a mysterious organization and was fed a poison. Now from high school students to elementary school students. Your son is getting smaller. Hearing this, Yasaka Kudo's expression became serious and offended a mysterious organization. Suddenly, Yasaka Kudo already had some guesses in his heart. Also, Shinichi is now in the hospital and is seriously injured. You'd better come back and see. One look. Dr. Ali said again. I know Ali Botu. I will go back immediately, but now I need Dr. Ali to take care of you first. 2 new ones. When I heard that Kudo Shinichi was hospitalized, Kudo Yasaka couldn't sit still, and immediately prepared to come back to see what happened to Shinichi now. Okay, hurry up and come back. In fact, Shinichi told me not to. I told you. Now that I tell you, I don't know if he will be angry. Dr. Ali has some headaches, and Conan is angry by then, which is also a troublesome ministry. Chapter 1086. After Kudo Yasaka and Conan hung up the phone, Akasa Hiroto returned to the ward. After returning, Conan had already woken up. Conan, how are you feeling? Dr. Ali looked at Conan and asked Conan. I'm fine, Dr. Ali, you are here too. Conan shook his head and said although Conan said it was okay, Dr. Ali clearly saw that Conan was not in high interest now, so he didn't say the original question. A few days later, Conan came out of the hospital. And Yasaka Kudo also came. Go back to Agasa Hakudo's house. Conan was shocked when he saw Yasaka Kudo. Although the clever Conan immediately figured it out, and the light looked towards Akasa Hakudo. Ali Botu, does it have anything to do with you? Conan Chaoguang stared at Ali Botu, asked Dr. 050, Kasa, and asked Ali Botu with an embarrassed smile. He originally wanted Yasaka to help. He concealed it for a while, but he didn't expect Conan, Shinichi, I didn't expect such a big thing to happen, and you didn't tell me. Kudo Yasaka put his hand on Conan's head. Speak up. Conan's expression froze slightly, and he raised his head to look at his father, Kudo Yasaka. After seeing that there was no anger on Kudo Yasaka's face, Conan was relieved. I think I can solve it myself, Conan said to Kudo Yasaka. He didn't tell Kudo Yasaka about this. It was not that he didn't believe in Conan, but he thought he could solve the trick. Conan felt that he was not too small. No need, parents are here to worry. Okay, I won't ask. Tell me what you know about that organization. Yasaka Kudo also knows his son very well, so I won't talk about it. The key is that Yasaka Kudo wants to know that his son Kudo Shin encountered. Is it the organization he guessed? For that organization I don't know much about the information. I only know that the people they organize seem to use the wine name as a code name. Conan told Kudo Yasaka some of the information he had learned. Yasaka Kudo's eyes were slightly bright when he heard the words, as he guessed, which organization really did it. Shinichi, listen to me, don't investigate this organization. I will find a way. Kudo Yasaka said to Conan seriously. Dad, do you know information about this organization? Conan immediately asked Kudo Yasaka. Although Conan has a high emotional intelligence at some point, he is very observant, even if Kudo Yasaka just shows a trace of wrong. Conan noticed it too. I do know something. This organization is still something you can solve. Listen to me, don't get involved in this matter. Oga Kudo Yasaka's expression was very serious, and he was not so serious in normal times. Kudo Yasaka didn't want Conan to continue to participate in it, but Kudo Yasaka said so and wanted Conan to give up. That was simply impossible. If Conan gave up so easily, he wouldn't be him. I have to investigate. I have to change back. Conan clenched his fists and bit Kiba Yuhi and said, if he hadn't turned into an elementary school student, Shaolin wouldn't be with Hyuga-chan now. Anyway, Conan hates it. The group of people who hate the black organization, and the bastard who hates Hyuga-chan. And he desperately wants to change back to the former Kudo Shin. Not the current Edogawa Conan. I can help you with this, so don't interfere. It's good that you can survive now, so don't take the initiative to send it to the door. Yasaka Kudo is very aware of the style of that organization, and now that Shinichi is still alive, he can learn from those people. It is a miracle that he escaped his life in his hands. At this time, if he went to the door again, he would be stupid. He didn't want Shinra to be sent to the door by himself. You don't understand, you don't know anything. Understand, I have to get the antidote and change it back. Must. After Conan finished speaking, he walked directly to the room where he lived, and slammed the door shut. Why did you suddenly lose your temper? This, I probably know some reasons. Akasa Hiroju said. What's the reason, Akasa Hiroshi? After hearing Akasa Hiroju's words, Kudo Yasaka hurriedly asked Akasa Hiroju, maybe it's because of Hyuga-chan, I don't know the specifics. Well, let me tell you, I don't know much. You can ask Pingji. Akasa Hiroju looked at Hattori Heiji who was standing beside him, as if he had lost his presence. Said to Yasaka Kudo. Kudo Yasaka's eyes turned to Hattori Heiji. Regarding the identity of Hattori Heiji, Yasaka Kudo actually knows Akatsuki a little bit. Are you Hattori Heijira's son? Kudo Yasaka asked Hattori Heiji. Uncle Yasaka knows my father. Hattori Heiji looked at Kudo Yasaka in surprise. I know, but I can't say how familiar I am. Of course, Kudo Yasaka knew Hattori Hazang, and he had met, of course. The relationship can't be said to be good, it can only be said to be average. I want to ask, about Shinichi. What happened to him? If it wasn't for something big, Shinichi would never have lost his mind so much, so something must have happened. Hearing Kudo Yasaka's question, Hattori Heiji hesitated in his heart whether to talk to him or not. Uncle Yasaka, it's better for you to ask the new, it's not convenient for me to say. Hattori Heiji finally didn't tell Kudo Yasaka because Hattori Heiji thought it was hard to say, and he didn't know how to say it. So even in the end it didn't say anything. About Shaolin. It's not convenient for him to say at all. It's better for Shin'er to tell his father himself. If he said it without authorization, he probably wouldn't be able to make friends with Shin in the future. Since you didn't say it as intended, I won't force you either. Kudo Yasaka shook his head in disappointment. Then came to the door of Conan's room. Knocked on the door with his hand, ready to call Conan out and talk to him. In other words, the two of them, father and son, hadn't had a good conversation for a long time. Mainly because Kudo Yasaka is too busy with things, and Kudo Shin is not a person who likes to communicate with his parents. Shinichi, you open the door first. I have something to tell you. Kudo Yasaka knocked on the door for a while. Finally Conan opened it from the inside. And Guang stared at his father seriously. If you want to say something to stop it, then forget it. Don't say such a thing. Conan said to Kudo Yasaka. Although before, Conan will still listen to Kudo Yasaka. But not in this case alone. Chapter 1087. Environmental Protection. Father and Son. Kudo Yasaka looked at his son Kudo Shinichi and couldn't help sighing. He knew too much about his son and knew that he would definitely not give up investigating the information of the black organization now. Okay, I'm not stopping you anymore. I hope you think about the consequences when you do things. Don't act recklessly. Kudo Yasaka also knew, even trying to stop Kudo Shin, is useless. Impossible equals stare straight at him. So Yasaka Kudo didn't stop him. By the way, tell me what's going on with you now. As your father, I have the right to be concerned. Kudo Yasaka looked at Conan, waiting for his answer. Conan's face was slightly ugly, and then he said, don't ask if he can tell Kudo Yasaka, your son, eyes seem to be green. How can he say such a thing? It's because of that Hyuga-chen, right? Kudo Yasaka 29 continued to ask Conan. How did you know? Did Akasa Hiroto and the others tell you? Hearing that Yasaka Kudo actually knew. Immediately, Conan thought of Akasa Hiroshi and Hattori Heiji, and it was estimated that the two of them said it. Conan couldn't help biting Kiba. They didn't say anything to me. I'm coming to you now. What's going on? Can you tell me? Conan asked Kudo Yasaka, looking at Yasaka Kudo's serious face. It's better to tell me. Next, I know some information about that Hyuga-chen, he is not that simple. Kudo Yasaka said cautiously, have you investigated Hyuga-chen? Conan looked at Yasaka Kudo in surprise, but he didn't expect his father to investigate Hyuga-chen. But it's not right. What is his father investigating Hyuga-chen? Is it because of his mother? Thinking of Yukiko, Conan's expression suddenly stiffened, and he raised his head to look at his father. Something is not right. Since he has investigated Hyuga-chen, he probably should know, but looking at his father's calm expression, he doesn't seem to know. Conan opened his mouth and wanted to talk to Yasaka Kudo. But I don't know how to speak. Do you know that you are being cuckolded directly? New, what are you going to say? Yasaka Kudo asked Shinichi suspiciously. Dad, how much do you know about Hyuga-chen? Conan didn't ask directly, but asked side by side to see if his father knew. I don't know much. It's a long time ago that I know his information. I haven't investigated anything, and I don't know much about him now. Kudo Yasaka didn't hide anything. His opponent Hyuga-chen knew. He is really unknown, and even Hyuga-chen's origin has not been investigated. But precisely because of that, the more dangerous this Hyuga-chen is. The scary thing is not that any horrible information is investigated. It is that no information is investigated. Looking at his father, Conan was relieved, and it seemed that he really didn't know anything about his mother Yukiko Kudo. Just thinking of himself and his father, Conan couldn't help but flash a sadness in his eyes. He and his father seemed to be green. Environmental protection. Father and son. Kudo Yasaka frowned as he looked at Conan, feeling that something was wrong with his son. Dad, about Hyuga-chen, don't worry about it, I can solve it myself, I hope you don't interfere. Conan didn't want his father to interfere. Because Hyuga-chen doesn't know the details right now. Perhaps even more dangerous than the black organization. More importantly, Conan didn't want his father to know that he had been greened. I hope you promise me, don't worry about Hyuga-chen. Conan looked up at Kudo Yasaka seriously and said, "Okay, I promise you." Although Kudo Yasaka didn't know the reason, he didn't say anything in the end. Directly agreed to Conan. "By the way, Yukiko has been back for a long time. Did she find you?" Yasaka Kudo asked suddenly. "I heard Yasaka Kudo mention Yukiko." Suddenly Conan's expression stiffened. "I didn't expect Yasaka Kudo to ask this question." "No." Conan shook his head at Kudo Yasaka, which was a fact. Yukiko did not look for him. Of course, even if Yukiko wanted to get him, he couldn't find him. After all, he was no longer Kudo Shin, but Conan. "No. Then do you know where Yukiko is?" Kudo Yasaka thought for a while, then asked Conan. "No, I don't know." Conan shook his head immediately. However, Yasaka Kudo narrowed his eyes. Although he denied it, Yasaka Kudo could see that Conan was lying. It's so obvious after all. Yasaka Kudo knows Conan very well. Coupled with his already keen observation, of course he can see it. Why did Shinichi lie? Kudo Yasaka didn't know, but he didn't ask. Some things don't need to be asked at all, as long as he investigates it himself. The same goes for things including Hyuga-chen. Although Kazuichi said that he would not intervene, it is absolutely impossible for Kudo Yasaka to really not intervene, and he will still intervene in the end. Seeing that Yasaka Kudo didn't ask, Shinichi breathed a sigh of relief. As long as he didn't continue to ask, it would be fine. Shinichi really doesn't know how to answer a. After all, it's really hard to lie. Conan is not good at lying, and his flaws may be seen. In fact, the flaws have been seen. It's just that Conan doesn't know it himself. "By the way, when are you going to leave?" Conan looked at Yasaka Kudo, now thinking about when Yasaka Kudo should leave. Conan doesn't want Yasaka Ito to stay here, because the longer Yasaka Kudo stays here, the more he may know. "Why, do you want me to leave now?" Yasaka Kudo asked Conan, seeing what Conan meant. "No, of course I want you to stay longer, Dad." However, Yasaka Kudo already knew what he was actually thinking when he said that. For Yasaka Kudo, it's still a little difficult to see through others, but I want to see through Conan's words. It's a simple thing. I don't plan to leave for the time being. I'm going to stay here for a while. "Well, but I think you should go back, Dad. It's been very unsafe recently, and there was a murder not long ago." Incident. But when he mentioned this, Conan lowered his head. "I still remember the night when the murderer was caught, Shaolin and Hyuga-chen." Conan lowered his head, and Yasaka Kudo looked at Conan suspiciously with some pain in his eyes. Shinichi is definitely hiding something from him. Chapter 1088. Kudo Yasaka, who is closed door, Akasa Hiro Plus, I would like to ask you for a favor. Kudo Yasaka called Agasaka Hiro Plus out, and talked to Akasa Hiro by himself. "Please help me." "Yasaka, what do you think? What can I do for you? Please tell me. The two of us care so well, as long as I can do it, I will definitely help you." Hiroshima Akasa assured that the relationship between A and Yasaka Kudo is indeed very good, as long as it's not that kind of negotiable. That kind of unfulfilled condition, Dr. Agsa will agree. "Help me look good on Shin, you should understand Shinichi's character. Although he is mature in some things, he is sometimes impulsive, so I want to ask Agasa Hiroto to take a good look at Shinichi." Agasa Hiroto was stunned a moment. Even if Kudo Yasaka didn't say it, Akasa Hiroju would still be optimistic about Shinichi's words, which was indeed a bit embarrassing for him. After all, what kind of person Shin he is? Dr. Ali, who watched him grow up since he was a child, knows all too well that L can't settle down at all. How can you value him unless you follow him without taking an inch? And even follow him without leaving an inch. It may not be able to be optimistic about the new equals one. I know that Shinichi's character is a bit difficult to handle, but it is for this reason that I will ask you, Akasa Hiroto. It is precisely because I know that Shinichi's character is rash. Kudo Yasaka wants to let Akasa Hiroshi can take a good look at the new equals sum. Okay, I will try my best to be optimistic about the new equals. Akasa Hiroshi finally nodded towards Kudo Yasaka and agreed. Thank you, Akasa Hiroshi. Kudo Yasaka smiled and thanked Dr. Akasa. Actually, you don't need to thank me, watching Shin equals grow up. Of course I won't let him do anything dangerous. But I think Yasaka, you'd better get used to calling him Conan. Dr. Akasa said to Kudo Yasaka that the main purpose is not to reveal Conan's identity. After all, the less people know about Conan's identity, the safer Conan will be. I know, for a long time. Yasaka Kudo nodded, he will pay attention to this in the future. By the way, Hiroto Akatsuki, I want to know Akatsuki, some information about Hyuga-chen. Kudo Yasaka looked at Akasa Hiroto, ready to find out some news from Dr. Akasa's mouth. You want to know about Hyuga-chen? I actually don't know much about this. Dr. Agasa shook his head. It wasn't that Hiroto Akasa didn't want to talk to Yasaka Kudo, but Hirohito Akashi really didn't know too much. But Shin has suffered several losses in the hands of the other party, which is definitely very important. Dangerous, if you can help the new couple deal with him. Dr. Akasa thinks Yasaka's involvement is also good. Compared with Kudo Yasaka, Shin equals is obviously far worse. BS, has Shinichi suffered several losses? 9 Kudo's eyes flashed. Regarding the ability of Shin, although Kudo Yasaka thought it was still very immature, he was still able to recognize his ability. However, he still suffered a loss in this way, but I think that Hyuga-chen is not easy. By the way, Yasaka, the other party also knows that Conan's real identity is Shinji, and I heard Shinichi say it. He seems to have contact with that organization. I told Yasaka Kudo all this. Kudo Yasaka nodded. This was indeed a relatively important piece of information for him, and Kudo Yasaka also paid some attention to it. Next, it's time to meet Hyuga-chen. Kudo Yasaka was going to meet Hyuga-chen in person. Only by meeting in person can we get to know Hyuga-chen. How are you going to meet him? Akasa Hiroshi asked Kudo Yasaka. Isn't he right next to my house? Although it's across the road, it's barely a neighbor. I'll go visit. It's not too much. Yasaka Kudo was about to visit in person. Let Shinichi know. If Shin knows, he will definitely stop it. Agasa Hiroshi nodded, thinking that this is okay. But Yasaka, you'd better be careful. Akasa Hiroshi finally reminded Kudo Yasaka, lest Kudo Yasaka be in danger. Don't worry, I don't believe that if I go to visit, I will encounter danger. Kudo Yasaka smiled. If he went to visit, he would be in danger. That would be too much. Then when are you going to go? Akasa Hiroshi asked Kudo Yasaka. Of course it's the past, I'm going to go and see now. At the same time, Kudo Yasaka was curious about Hyuga Tatsuya. Afterwards, Yasaka Kudo left Agasa Hiroshi's house, first went home to have a look, and then walked towards Chen's house. When he came to Chen's door, he knocked on the door. What are you doing? I heard a voice from behind. Kudo Yasaka immediately turned to look, and saw the handsome man standing behind him at a glance. Second eye, who are you? I should ask you, right? You suddenly appeared at the door of someone else's house and looked like a ghost. Could it be some intention? Chen Tan glanced at him indifferently. Then said, Yasaka Kudo looked embarrassed. He was actually said to be sneaky. Did he really look sneaky just now? Hello, you are the owner of this place. My name is Kudo Yasaka, and I live next door. Kudo Yasaka reached out to Chen, wanting to shake hands with Chen to get acquainted. However, Chen K did not have the habit of shaking hands with men. Just a faint glance at Kudo Yu. In fact, Chen was quite surprised. I didn't expect Yasaka Kudo to come back. Could it be because Conan was injured? Before, Conan was injured by Izumi Yuhiko, maybe because of this reason, so Yasaka Kudo just came back. Although Chen is guessing, but the guess is completely correct. Oh, so what are you doing here? Chen nodded and asked Kudo Yasaka. Qian Haojiao_, I'm here to visit. Oh, then you don't need to visit, you can go. Chen directly issued an order to evict Kudo Yasaka. No, not an expulsion order. Kudo Yasaka didn't even enter the door, and Chen was about to drive him away. Rao as Kudo Yasaka's cultivation is not bad. But there was still some anger in my heart, and before I got in, I just ate a group of cents. Chen opened the door and walked in, with no intention of inviting Ito Yasaka in. Kudo Yasaka could only stand at the door with an ugly face. As for the ugly face of Kudo Yasaka, this has nothing to do with Chen-kei, and Chen-kei will not care about the thoughts in Kudo Yasaka's heart. Looking at Hyuga Chen who closed the door, Gung Yuzuo stood there for a while with an ugly face, then turned and left. To be honest, this was something he didn't expect, and he never expected to have a closed door here. It was very sad inside, I felt suffocated. The First Thousand Fog Chapter 89th. Xiao I wanted to be upset, I heard someone knocking on the door before. Who is it? Mingmei saw Chen walking in from outside. Shang Chen forced to ask. It's Kudo Yasaka, Chen said after looking at Yukiko. Yasaka Kudo, he's back. Yukiko asked in surprise. Yukiko, I feel you are a little panicked right now. Belmod looked at Yukiko and said with a smile. Panic? Why should I panic? Yasaka Kudo and I, didn't I already tell you, why should I panic? Yukiko said after pouting towards Kainermod. But what did he suddenly come back for? Yukiko was a little strange. Could it be that something happened to Shinichi? I have to say that Yukiko's intuition is very keen. I really guessed it right. If it wasn't for the newness, Kudo Yasaka would never have come back. Who knows this? If you ask a room, he will know. Chikage Kuroha said to Yukiko. I don't ask, I don't even want to see him. Yukiko withdrew her mouth, and she didn't even want to see Yasaka Kudo. At this moment, little Izumi Yuhiko suddenly came to Chen's side. What's the matter? Chen asked little Izumi Yuhiko suspiciously. I want to ask, Kudo Yasaka will come back, should it have something to do with me? Little Izumi Yuhiko asked Chen. After all, she was the one who injured Konan. And Konan is Kudo Shin, too. So little it's not surprising that Izumi Yuhiko would be like this. I think it should be. Chen nodded lightly, although there is no 100% confirmation yet. But Chen thinks that it should be because of Kudo Shinichi's affairs that Kudo Yasaka came back. Yasaka Kudo knew that he was injured. Chen guessed that Kudo Shin, Ichi would not sue Kondo Yasaka. After all, if he said it, it would be revealed that he had become smaller. Of course, it's not very clear, and there is no need for him to guess these boring things. He just left. Didn't he trouble you? Little Izumi Yuhiko asked Chen in confusion. No, it's probably for safety, so don't dare to trouble me. Chen shook his head gently, and then said. What are you asking about? I just want to know. I just don't know if Kudo Shinichi's father will come to trouble me. Probably not. I guess the most important target to be targeted will only be me, and even if Kudo Yasaka really finds you trouble, are you still afraid of the Lord Yasaka? Chen asked Yuhiko, with Yuhi do you still care about Yasaka Kudo's ability to make trouble? If Yasaka Kudo is really looking for trouble, it would be good not to be beaten to death. After all, with Yuhiko's character, if Kudo Yasaka really came to trouble little Izumi Yuhiko, Yuhiko would definitely make him suffer. After all, with Yuhiko's strength, it's not easy to deal with a Kudo Yasaka. Although Kudo Yasaka is smarter, but sometimes the brain is not as good as the fist. What are you two whispering about? Yukiko came over and asked Chen and Yuhiko. Their voices were low. Even after Arikiko became a ninja now, her hearing is stronger. But I still couldn't hear what Chen and Yuhiko were saying. Yuchizi, eavesdropping on other people's conversations. It's not a good habit. Chen turned his head and said to Yuchizi. I didn't eavesdrop, let's talk about it. Even if I want to eavesdrop, I have to be able to hear it. Yukiko pouted. She wanted to eavesdrop on what Yi Ershaken and Yuhiko were saying. But I couldn't hear it all, right, Chen, I have something to tell you. Yuchizi sat beside Chen, said to Chen mysteriously. What's the matter? Seeing Yukiko's mysterious appearance, Chen suddenly became curious, CIA_I, wondering what Yukiko had to tell him. Can Yuhiko get out of the way first? I want to talk to you alone. Yuhiko glanced at Yuhiko, and said, do and let me know. Yuhiko glanced at Yuhiko, and then stood directly, got up and left. Anyway, she is not interested in knowing. Tomorrow, do you want to go out with me? Don't you have a holiday tomorrow? Yuchizi looked at Chen and asked. No. Chen looked depressed. It turned out to be just this. I thought it was a secret thing. Don't worry, there's more. It's not just me who went out to play this time, but also Fei Yingri. Go with him. Yukiko said to Chen with a smile. Chen Wenyan moved in his heart, and then looked at Yuchizi puzzled. Don't you want to go with each other? Maybe there will be some unexpected gains. Yukiko hinted at Chen. Cough, since you want to go out to play. Then I will accompany you. Chen nodded and said, as expected, as long as you move out of Yingri, you will agree, alas. Isn't it easy for me? Yingri. Yuchizi looked at Chen with a bit of resentment. Chen Wenyan couldn't help but coughed and said nothing. I want to go with you too. Xiao Ai suddenly appeared from behind Chen. Yuchizi was startled by the sudden appearance of Xiao Ai, and when Xiao Ai came over, the conversation between them was also blocked by Xiao Ai. Did IG hear it? I'm going with you too. Xiao Ai looked at Chen and didn't let Chen refuse Xiao Ai to go for anything else. Just to go to bad things. Through the conversation between Tatsu and Yukiko just now, Xiao Ai smartly guessed that some people had arrived at the same place. That's why she said this. Xiao Ai, do you want to go too? Chen's face showed a look of embarrassment. Don't you agree? Xiao Ai's face turned cold, and then she turned her head away. Well, since Xiao Ai wants to go, of course I won't refuse. Chen couldn't help but Xiao Ai thought that if she followed, it would be a bad thing. What would happen if she went straight? Even Xiao Ai, there is absolutely no way to stop it. Xiao Ai looked at Chen in surprise. I thought Chen would do everything possible to stop her from going. Now it's so simple to say yes. There is something incredible in Xiao Ai's heart. What, looking at you in a daze, did you change your mind and don't want to go? If you don't want to go, I won't say anything. Xiao Ai, just stay at home. Chen said with a smile. Who said I changed my mind? I must go. Xiao Ai stared at Chen, and she would follow Chen tomorrow no matter what, and then Xiao Ai glared at Yuchizi next to her. Chapter 1090. Somewhat abnormal. Early the next morning, Chen was called up by Yukiko. What are you calling me so early? Chen looked at the time. It was only after 5 o'clock, and even if I wanted to go out, I didn't need to be so early. It was still early morning. Of course there is a reason. Do you want Xiao Ai to follow Tilda? Yuchizi gave Chen a white glance, and then said to Chen. You mean let's go first and leave Xiao Ai at home? Of course Chen was very smart. Immediately I understood the meaning of Yuchizi's words. Nothing more than to let Xiao Ai stay at home. That's right, let's leave now before Xiao Ai gets up. Yuchizi said with a smile. Chen immediately got up, and then walked outside with Yuchizi, moving quietly for fear of disturbing Xiao Ai. After walking out the door, Yukiko let out a sigh of relief. It seems that I can leave Xiao Ai at home. Yuchizi said to Chen, and Chen didn't speak, but pointed to Yuchizi's back. Yuchizi looked at Chen a little strangely, and didn't understand what Chen meant. But when Yuchizi turned around, she immediately knew what Wuyu meant, because the person standing behind Yuchizi was Xiao Ai. Yukiko was taken aback. Xiao Ai was actually standing here, and Qi Guang was staring at her. Make Yukiko feel so embarrassed. Xiao Ai, why are you here? Yuchizi asked Xiao Ai involuntarily. Yuchizi really didn't expect Xiao Ai to be here. Did Xiao Ai wait here on purpose? After thinking about it, it seems indeed so. Otherwise, what would you do if you appeared here early in the morning? I expected it a long time ago. Xiao Ai's eyes seemed to see through everything, and she had long guessed that Chen and Yuchizi would run away. So Xiao Ai waited here early in the morning. Cough. Xiao Ai, what did you expect? Yuchizi asked very embarrassedly. In fact, if there was a ground scene here, Yukiko will definitely get in without hesitation. I expected you to take me down. Xiao Ai said angrily. Before, Xiao Ai expected that Chen and the others would find a way to leave her, and then slipped away alone. Unexpectedly, she was really guessed by her. Yukiko was embarrassed to hear that. I thought of it myself. It was also thought of by Xiao Ai. Why is Xiao Ai so smart? Even though she is not too old, she just went to primary school, grade. The reason why Yuchizi thinks like this is because Yuchizi doesn't know Xiaoai's true identity at all, and just treats Xiaoai as two primary school students. Xiaoai is really clever. When did you wait here? Chen asked Xiaoai. I've been waiting here all night. Xiaoai said quietly, but this is Xiaoai lying. Although Xiaoai has been waiting here for a long time. But it didn't take that long to wait here all night. Xiaoai has been here for half an hour, if Xiaoai is a little later. Then they really went high. Let's go back first. Chen pulled Yuchizi and Xiaoai back. Now that it has been discovered by Xiaoai, then there is no point in leaving so early now. After going back to eat breakfast, let's go to see concubine Yingri. By the way, where are you going? Chen asked Yuchizi, although going out to play. But Chen didn't even know where to go. It hasn't been decided yet. Fei Yingri said that he was going to a mountain area, and the specifics have not been decided yet. Yukiko said to Chen and they started chatting. After having breakfast, after talking to Mingmei and the others, they left the house directly. Chen drove the car to Fei Yingli's house. It was only after 6 o'clock, but Fei Yingli was already up. We came so early, yet you are all up. Yukiko looked at Fei Yingri in surprise. I am used to it. I have to get up early when I work. Fei Yingli is also very hard as a lawyer. And to be able to remain unbeaten, this effort is naturally several times that of others. The good concubine Yingri also has an assistant, Li Shanlu, otherwise everyone will be exhausted. Xiaoai is here too. What is the purpose of this time? Yukiko has already told her. If that's the case, why did you get up with Xiaoai? Seeing Fei Yingli's surprised look at her, Yukiko shrugged helplessly. It wasn't that Yuchizi wanted Xiaoai to follow her, but Xiaoai took the initiative, so. Begging for flowers. Yuchizi guessed that this time it might be a waste. But after the soup is over, let's have a good time and relax. It's good too. Seeing Yukiko and Yao's helpless faces, Fei Yingli didn't ask any more questions. Maybe there was a reason. Coincidentally, Fei Yingli was still nervous at first, and she didn't dare to look at Chen just now, but now she was relieved, but she felt a little lost at the same time. That's right. You guys have to wait for me. Next, I still have some things to deal with. Fei Yingli said to Chen. Originally, she didn't expect Chen and the others to come so early. In fact, they came so early because Yuchizi went to call Chen. Otherwise, Chen intends to come here just after 8 o'clock. What's the matter? Didn't you say it's already on vacation? Yukiko asked Fei Yingri involuntarily. Although it's a vacation, but you have a vacation for yourself, you have to deal with the two things left before. Fei Yingli said to Yukiko. What the hell is going on? Yukiko asked Fei Yingri. What are you doing in detail? Do you want to help me? Eri, don't think about it. You have Kiko's lazy personality, and it is absolutely impossible to help you unless the sun comes out from the west. Maybe there is something more. Possibly, Chen said with a smile. Yukiko's face changed. Then he stepped on Shang Chen. To actually say that, Yukiko is of course not convinced. If you think you're diligent, Chen, then go and help Yingri, and I'll see if you're diligent or not. Yukiko said angrily. Actually, it's not that I don't want to help, it's just that I can't help. I don't know anything about these things. If I really help, I'm afraid I'll be a disservice to Yingli. Chen pulled Xiaoai to sit down, and then said that Xiaoai sat down obediently. Chen's side is very close to Chen, and Yuchizi looks at this scene with some doubts. Today's Xiaoai seems to be a little wrong. Actually, and Chen seems so close. In the past, Xiaoai's character was more Suinder. Although she likes to stay by Chen's side, Suinder's character makes her pretend to be disgusted and walk aside, and today's Xiaoai is completely different and somewhat abnormal. Chapter 1091. Kudo Yasaka knew. Xiaoai, you are a little abnormal. Chen whispered in Xiaoai's ear. Is there? Xiaoai glanced at Chen, and then revealed a questioning moonlight. In normal times, you are quite a tsundere, but you wouldn't be so close to me on purpose, but today is different. Chen patted Xiaoai's head, and then said to Xiaoai. HMPH. Xiaoai didn't answer Chen, but snorted coldly towards Chen. Looking at Xiaoai Sunere's ignorance, Chen didn't say much, and curiously picked up the document that Fei Yingli put on the table. I'll take a look at these things, there should be no problem, right? Chen asked Fei Yingli. Okay, these are not important secrets, as long as you don't leak some of the information out, it's fine. Concubine, 140 inches Yingri nodded. I believe that Chen will not leak the information. Concubine Eri has immense trust in Chen. Chen picked it up and looked at it, and after the meeting, Chen lost the slightest interest and threw the document in his hand on the table. Chen didn't study the FA, so he didn't understand it at all, and he wasn't interested in this thing. He picked it up and looked at it just out of curiosity. Why didn't you watch it? Yuchizi asked Chen. I don't understand, Chen said bluntly. Anyway, Chen wouldn't pretend to understand. If he didn't understand, he just ignored it. Tisk tisk. I didn't expect there are things you are not good at, Yukiko said with a smile. Actually, there are only things that I am not interested in. Chen said to Yuchizi. If Chen was really interested, he would be able to study it clearly in a few days. It's finally done, let's go. Fei Yingli stood up at this time, stretched her waist and said. These things are finally completed, it's really not easy. Fei Yingli feels a little tired, and she should relax a little more, and it's not wrong to listen to Yukiko. I wasn't so short of money in the first place. If that's the case, why should I work so hard? I'll find myself guilty and relax when I have time. Have you decided where we're going, Eri? Yukiko asked concubine Eri. Fei Yingli was slightly stunned when she heard the words, and then said to Yuchizi, isn't this for you to make a decision? Fei Yingli didn't say that she came to decide where to go. She originally thought it was arranged by Yuchizi, but now I see Yukiko's appearance seems to have no arrangements at all. Ah, I haven't made any arrangements yet. Yukiko shook her tip. The next person, if this is the case, let's take a look now. Tianchi is a better place. Fei Yingli took out the map. Nian looked at the two of them speechlessly. They were about to take action and still haven't found the moon sign. At this time, they were still looking at the map. Why didn't you go outside for a picnic? Just find a place with a nice view. Yukiko said. Then Yukiko just looked at Fei Yingli. Yushizi is not familiar with it, so I should leave it to Fei Yingli to find it. But what Yuki didn't expect is that Fei Yingli is not familiar with it either. Basically, Fei Yingli rarely blooms rice flowers. Stare, I don't know what beautiful places are around. After all, Fei Yingli is not interested in playing either. She is most interested in work. Otherwise, how to become the undefeated queen in the legal world? It seems that I will leave it to me. Chen sighed and said. After that, Chen took Xiaoai, Yuchizi and Fei Yingli downstairs and left, and drove directly out of the city. Something came to mind. No, I know if I should tell you. Akasa Hiroto stood behind Yusaka with a tangled expression on his face. Akasa Hiroshi, we have been old friends for many years. Is there anything else we can't say? You can just say it. Soil said. If that's the case, then I'll say it. I hope you don't get angry. Dr. Ali sighed, and finally decided to say it. Don't hide this kind of thing from Yuzuo, or Ali Botu will be guilty. Hearing Hiroju Akasa say this, Yusaka Kudo was actually even more curious in his heart. What the hell was going on, and he even specifically told him not to get angry. It's about Yukiko. Yukiko has always lived in Hyuga Chen's house. Hiroshi Akasa said to Yusaka Kudo. Yes, that's what Dr. Akasa wanted to say to Yusaka Kudo. The reason why I didn't tell Yusaka Kudo before is not because Hiroshi Akasa didn't remember it, but Hiroshi Akasa, plus I don't know if I should say it. After thinking about it all night, Akasa Hiroshi felt that it would be better to tell Yusaka Kudo, and even if he didn't tell, Yusaka Kudo might not know. Kudo Yusaka's face sank after hearing this. Although he has nothing to do with Kudo Yukiko, on the surface, it is in the eyes of others. If Kudo Yusaka behaves too calmly, it is estimated that it will make others suspect, and it doesn't matter if they suspect anything else, in case others know that he is Brokeback Mountain. Then it won't work. Agasahiro plus what are you saying is true. Agasahiro nodded 10 times, looking at Kudo Yasaka's bad expression. He can understand it, and even has some sympathy. But Agasahiro plus mouth he still persuaded Yasaka Kudo to say, "Don't think about it, Yasaka. Maybe Kiko and Hugichan knew each other and lived in Hugichan's house because they were friends." In fact, even Dr. Agasa himself does not believe what he said. After all, if there is no close relationship, how can it be possible to live in Hyuga-chan's house? If it is only for a day or two. Nothing. But according to Agasa the doctor understands, it seems that Yukiko has been living in Hyuga-chan's house. I understand, thank you, Akasa Hiroshi. Yasaka Kudo said with a dark face. Akasa Hiroto looked at Yasaka Kudo's expression. He hesitated a little. Doing what? Yasaka Kudo said to Hiro Akasa 10. Hiro Akasa nodded 10 times. After all, Yasaka Kudo is also an adult, so he will definitely not act impulsive. In fact, don't look at the ugly appearance of Yasaka Kudo on the surface, but in fact he didn't have much feeling in his heart. The way he made it was just for Dr. Agasa to see. Hiroshi Agasa, I have something to go out. Conan, please take care of you. At this time, Kudo Yasaka's name was changed to Conan. Since he didn't want to reveal his identity, it was natural to call him that. Lest you get used to it, you can't change it for a while. I see. Hiroshi Akasa nodded. He could probably guess what Yasaka Kudo was going to do, but he believed that Yasaka Kudo could handle it. Chapter 1092. Look down on me too. Yasaka Kudo immediately took out his mobile phone and called Yukiko after he left. Hearing the phone ringing, she took it out and looked at the person who called her, frowning slightly. Who, Yuchizi, you don't seem happy. Fei Yingli observed her words. At a glance, it was obvious that Yukiko was not very interested. A guy the first don't want to see. Yukiko pouted, and then gave Fei Yingri a look. It's actually Kudo Yasaka. Fei Yingri showed surprise, then looked at Yuki and asked, then do you answer? Did you answer the call? Yukiko answered of course. Directly connected to the phone. After the call is connected. The two sides were silent for a long time. Yukiko did not speak. On the other side, Yasaka Kudo did not speak. If you're okay, then I'll hang up. Yukiko finally said in a faint voice. Yukiko doesn't have time to spend 29. Feeling very boring. Listen to Hiroju Akasa. Now you live in Hyuga-chan's house. Kudo Yasaka asked. You are too busy with your own business. Yukiko said with a frown. She once had an agreement with Kudo Yasaka, and the two parties just took what they needed and did not interfere with each other. You embarrassed me like this 2 inches, Kudo Yasaka said with an ugly expression. At this time, he is afraid. In the eyes of others, he has the image of a green hat. You are embarrassed, you have to solve the trick yourself. What does it have to do with me, and I want to divorce you? Yukiko said to Kudo Yasaka. Originally, there was Kiko who had this plan. It was just that Yasaka Kudo was in a country at the time, and now Yasaka Kudo came to Shang. Of course, this opportunity cannot be missed. Even Yukiko, the divorce agreement, asked Fei Yingri to help her prepare a. Kudo Yasaka was silent for a while, and then there was no objection. Maybe this was a good choice for him. At least it's better than being called cuckold. Okay, I want to meet Hyuga Tatsu. Tatsu, Kudo Yasaka said he wanted to see you. Yukiko said to Tatsu who was driving. I've heard it, although he said he wanted to see me, but I'm not someone who wants to see me. Chen nodded and said, so Kudo Yasaka, if you want to see me, you need to show me your capital. Kudo Yasaka sounded a little angry. Seeing that you still need capital, do I still need money to invite you to meet me? This is a bit too much. What do you want? In the end, Yasaka Kudo couldn't suppress the anger in his heart and asked Xingyu. Chen also knew that although Kudo Yasaka would be angry, he would definitely find a way to see him. I want too much. It's a pity you can't give it. Chen thought about it. Yasaka Kudo doesn't seem to have anything worthy of his conspiracy. Chen doesn't seem to care about the things that Kudo Yasaka owns. Kudo Yasaka was silent for a while, then hung up the phone voluntarily. Is this the end? I thought he would do anything else. Fei Yingli's expression was slightly surprised. Yasaka Kudo is a smart person. There is no need to waste time at this time, so he just hangs up the phone. Chen said to Fei Yingri, I seem to be very familiar with the road we are taking now. This place I seem to have been here before. Yukiko said involuntarily, why does it feel familiar? Have you been here before? In fact, there is nothing wrong with Yukiko's feeling, because Yukiko has indeed been here, and she will still have many memories. Gradually, Yukiko finally remembered, wasn't this where she had been before, and she came with Chikage Kuroba at that time. And just this time, Yushizi is the one with Chen, and this one has to blame Chikage Kuroha, but now Yukiko has no resentment towards Chikage. Aren't you taking us to climb the mountain? Yukiko asked Chen. Yeah, don't you still dislike it, Shanti? Chen Yugong looked at Yukiko. He asked Yukiko, I don't think the mountain is tired. It's just that I won't be tired. Could it be that Eri is not tired, and Eri is here to relax? Will climbing the mountain relax? Yukiko couldn't help but said. Now she is a ninja. So it doesn't matter if you are tired or not, because you can't feel it at all. But Yingri is different. Yingri's physique is still the physique of ordinary people. Yukiko, do you look down on me? Eri was immediately annoyed when she heard Yukiko say this. Do you still think that my physical strength is not as good as yours? Unlike Yukiko, Eri has practiced judo, and when she was in school, she was able to surpass Yukiko in terms of physical strength. No, I didn't mean that. Yuchizi shook her head immediately after hearing this. If it was in the past, Yukiko is indeed inferior to Eri, but now it is not the past. Yukiko has now become a ninja, and she is still quite a strong ninja. How can Fei Yingri compare with Yukiko in terms of physical strength? Let's just climb the mountain. I've already decided. I think it's not bad to see the scenery from the top of the mountain. It can also improve the mood. Fei Yingli said to Yukiko. Right now, Fei Yingri's mood is a bit complicated, so it's good to relax. Okay, since it's Eri's decision, let's go climb the mountain, but I hope you don't regret it. Yukiko nodded and said, 010_, don't underestimate me, I can't regret it. Fei Yingli raised her head and said, this is the case with Fei Yingli, as long as it is a good decision, no matter what the final result is. Fei Yingli will never regret it. Okay then, let's go to the mountain and drive the car together. After a while, we came to the foot of the mountain and rented a room in the hotel at the foot of the mountain. You hope that the hotel in front of you is very complicated. The last time it was here it is. Yo, it's you. The owner of the hotel was quite surprised when he saw Chen and the others. I didn't expect the owner to know us. Yushizi looked at the shop owner in front of him strangely. Of course, after all, it's hard to forget someone like you once you've met them. The shop owner nodded and said, the face value is the highest they have ever seen, how could they forget it? For the sake of you being acquaintances, I will give you a 20% discount this time. The proprietress said. Then I would like to thank the proprietress. Yuchizi said with a smile, and then looked at Chen quite proudly. This is an 8 discount, this time it is saving money. Chen is quite speechless, and they are not bad money. But it is quite good to have a discount. At least the mood is much better, and there is a feeling of taking advantage in my heart. Chapter 1093. How dare I have an opinion? Huh, are you really not tired? Fei Yingli let out a sigh of relief, and then asked Chen and the others. I'm not tired at all, I told you not to force it. Yukiko looked at Fei Yingri and said. If it was said that Fei Yingri had good physical strength in the past, but Fei Yingri had not exercised for a long time. Now it's far from what it used to be. After all, Fei Yingli is sitting in the office now and lacks exercise. Physical fitness will naturally decline. Of course, this is not the point is how Yukiko behaves like she used to be. I remember Yukiko was very lazy when I was in school. Even if there were any club activities, Yukiko had never participated in it, but now Bashan is not at all tired, it just doesn't look like Yukiko used to be. Why do you still act so vigorously and vigorously? Right, Fei Yingli asked Yuchizi. Could it be that Yukiko secretly trained herself while she didn't know? Hee, I paid attention to exercise, I'm not you. Yukiko said with a smile. After Yuchizi said this, Chen and Xiaoai glanced at Yuchizi. Did you pay attention to exercise? You didn't even take ninjutsu seriously, and now you say that you pay attention to exercise. You are really embarrassed to say it, right? All right. For the time being, I won't despise her first. Chen and Xiaoai walked in the front. Hey, Chen, what are you doing so fast? Yuchizi shouted to Chen. Because I want to get to the mountain as soon as possible. Chen turned around, spread his hands towards Yuchizi, and said. Don't you want to wait for Yingri? You think Yingri seems a little reluctant. Yukiko looked at Fei Yingri and said involuntarily. Fei Yingri gave Yuchizi a hopeful look, and she didn't know if Yuchizi was laughing at her on purpose. I have no problem, Fei Yingli said. Others will not, but Fei Yingli will be brave, especially in front of Yuchizi. How can even Yuchizi be incomparable? This is what Fei Yingri thought of. Yingri, listen to me, don't be brave, it's not good if you're really tired. Yukiko said towards Eri. I'll carry you on my back. Chen opened his mouth and said to Fei Yingli. Then, Chen did not give Fei Yingli a chance to refuse, and took the initiative to carry Fei Yingli on his back, so that Fei Ying could not even say no to refuse. Yukiko looked at Fei Yingli and smiled lightly. Laughing Yuchizi, Fei Yingli glared at Yuchizi, laughing at what Xiaochen carried Fei Yingli on her back. It felt quite comfortable, but Xiaoai gently kicked Chen in a place that Chen couldn't see. Chen couldn't help it. She glared at Xiaoai, but she met Xiaoai's stare back. Xiaoai snorted lightly at Chen. Then she pouted, and walked directly in front of her. That little girl is jealous. Yuchizi leaned close to Chen and whispered to Chen. Because of the close distance, Fei Yingli also heard it. But then Fei Yingli looked at Chen with a strange look. Xiaoai is a child. Look at me with that strange look, okay. Chen couldn't help but said. Although Chen didn't look back, Fei Yingli's eyes were quite strange. Chen could still feel it. Chen didn't want Fei Yingli to misunderstand. What? After all, although Xiaoai looks like a child, she is an adult. After being discovered, Fei Yingli immediately lowered her head, but just after she lowered her head, she accidentally touched Chen's back, and her face suddenly turned. Yuhi. Can you carry me on your back? Fei Yingli asked Chen in a low voice. Don't worry, it's okay to carry you. I still think there is no problem. Even if you weigh 200 pounds, I can definitely carry you on your back. Chen said with a smile. Fei Yingli was annoyed on the spot when she heard the words. 200 pounds too, you are deliberately making fun of me, right? 1 inch okay. Actually, I was joking, Eri, don't be angry. Chen said to Fei Yingli, telling her not to be angry. But what should I do now that I'm angry? Fei Yingli asked Chen with a face. Chen said with a distressed face. Then what do you say? Chen spread his hands toward Fei Yingli. Then he asked Fei Yingli, I haven't made up my mind yet. I'll talk about it when I think about it. Fei Yingli thought for a moment, and then said. In fact, Fei Yingli was not angry at all just now. Can you guys hurry up? Xiaoai turned back with a blank face, and said indifferently that at this time, Xiaoai wanted to kick Chen off the mountain in annoyance at this time. Got it. Chen quickly followed Fei Yingli on her back. Fei Yingli looked at Xiaoai. She felt ashamed for a while. In terms of physical strength, she couldn't even compare to the little girl Xiaoai. Shame, I can't even compare to a little girl. It's too embarrassing. It seems that I can't work all the time in the future. After reaching the peak, stand on the top of the mountain and look down. The view from the top of the mountain is really good. It's very relaxing here, Fei Ying said involuntarily. At this time, concubine Yingri had already come down from Chen's back. However, Fei Yingli felt a slight loss in her heart. If it is possible, Fei Yingli really wants to be carried by Chen all the time. Although she is a little greedy, Fei Yingli thinks so in her heart. What are you thinking? You, actually in a daze at this time. Yuchizi saw Fei Yingli in a daze, so she patted Fei Yingli on the shoulder and asked Fei Yingli. No, I didn't think about anything. Fei Yingli's face was slightly yuhi. Then he immediately shook his head in denial. Really? Then I saw that the appearance of yuhi on your face is fake. I got it, Yukiko pouted and asked Fei-Yingli. I heard Yukiko say that her face is Yuhi. Fei-Yingli immediately covered it up, and after she couldn't see Yuhi's expression on her face, she was relieved. To the other side, Xiaoai took Chen to the other side, and was farther away from Yuchizi and Fei-Yingli. Xiaoai, why are you pulling me here? Chen asked Yuchizi. Of course you're with me, do you have an opinion? Xiaoai looked into Chen's eyes. Shang Chen asked. No opinion, Princess Ai who is with us, how dare I have an opinion? Chen said teasingly. HMPH. Xiaoai Jiao snorted, then turned her head away from Chen. Xiaoai, promise me not to be so tsundere. Chen touched Xiaoai's hair and asked Xiaoai. Xiaoai glanced at Chen Yi, and then stepped on Chen Yi's foot. Does she really have such a tsundere? Xiaoai herself doesn't admit it. Chapter 1094. Tsundere ruined his life. Damn, I seem to have forgotten one thing. Yukiko patted her forehead. I found that I seem to have forgotten an important thing. What's wrong? Fei-Yingli asked Yukiko suspiciously, not knowing why. There was a bad premonition in my heart. Yukiko bowed her head embarrassedly. Yuhi said to Chen with a face, I forgot the food in the hotel. Fei-Yingli twitched the corners of her mouth, and then asked Yukiko, then what shall we eat for lunch? We can't be hungry. Right. If you really want to be hungry, then how can you go down the mountain? Although going down the mountain won't be as hard as going up the mountain, but it's also very exhausting. And when they went up the mountain, their physical strength was almost exhausted, and Fei-Yingli stared at Yukiko. You forget what's wrong. I just forgot about the food, and now I really doubt that you did it on purpose. Did you trick us on purpose? Fei-Yingli asked Yuchizi. I really forgot. Why do you think I'm tricking you? Yukiko said depressedly. It's really not that she didn't take it on purpose, but she really forgot. It seems that she didn't take it off when she put it on the car, so there is no way to do it now. Small meaning, we won't be starved to death. Chen said. Chen's expression was very calm. Anyway, he wouldn't starve to death if he didn't eat, and he wouldn't have anything if he didn't eat. Xiaoai and Yukiko think there is no problem. But Fei-Yingli can't do it. Concubine Yingri is the only ordinary person here. Why are you all so calm too? Fei-Yingli thought she was a very calm person, but seeing Chen and the others so calm, she was a little speechless. By the way, shouldn't you forget to bring all the water? Fei-Yingli felt even worse, so she asked quickly. Kiki Yingli, you should know that the food and water are put together, so the food is not brought, which means that the water is not brought. Yuchizi coughed dryly for a while, and said to Fei-Yingli. A pat on the forehead, how was it before? I didn't think Yukiko was so unreliable, but now I feel that Yukiko is really unreliable. What should I do now? Yuchizi asked Chenji. It's easy to say. After Chen finished speaking, there was a lot of water and food in his hands, which made Yukiko, who knew Chen's ability, couldn't help blinking, and Fei-Yingli stared too much. It turned out that Chen brought it. No wonder it was so bland. After thinking about it, Fei-Yingli suddenly felt that something was wrong. Do you remember that Chen brought water and food? I remember that I didn't take anything at all. Are all the things in your hands directly transformed? Fei-Yingli's doubts are getting heavier and heavier. Chen, could it be that you know magic? Fei-Yingli felt that it was the only way to explain it. But it was not right. Magic also needs magic tools, and Chen didn't have any magic tools in his hands. This is a secret, Chen said to Fei-Yingli with a smile. Can't I even say it? Fei-Yingli was very disappointed and even a little uncomfortable. I can tell you, but it's hard to say clearly in one sentence or two. Let's talk about it when you have time, Chen said to Fei-Yingli. Okay then. After hearing Chen say this, Fei-Yingli didn't continue to ask questions. Because Fei-Yingli is also very clear. The more the foundation is created, the more dissatisfying it is. Come here and eat quickly. Fei-Yingli, you must be hungry, Chen asked while looking at Fei-Yingli. Chen is not hungry, but Chen estimated that Fei-Yingli should be hungry, because Chen heard Fei-Yingli's stomach growling. Fei-Yingli's face turned. Yuhi, and then she lowered her head, wondering in her heart whether her stomach growling had been heard. If she was really heard, Fei-Yingli would feel a little indecent. That kind of feeling is like a shame. Well, actually Chen doesn't think there is anything to be ashamed of. Isn't it normal to cry when you are hungry? Shall I eat a piece of chocolate? Chen pulled out the chocolate. Then handed it to Shao Ai. I will pull it out myself. Shao Ai said, since this is the case, then I will eat for you. Yuchizi took it directly, and then ate it in one bite, which instantly made Shao Ai's face look bad. Shao Ai had a feeling. It felt as if her things had been robbed, and it was a very uncomfortable feeling. Shao Ai is, don't you feel very uncomfortable? Tsunere ruined life. Yushizi said to Shao Ai with a grin. HMPH, old woman. Shao Ai snorted coldly, and then said ruthlessly that this was Shao Ai's counterattack against Yushizi. Instantly Yushizi's face froze. You must know that what Yushizi doesn't like the most is when others call her an old woman. Now Yushizi is angry. Shao Ai, I'm being arrogant. Do you know what the consequences will be if I get angry? Yuchizi asked Shao Ai viciously. What consequences could there be? Fight with me. Do you think you can handle me? Shao Ai was proud. He raised his head. He asked Yukiko. Yukiko was a little speechless. Yes, to be honest, Yukiko is really not Shao Ai's opponent in terms of strength. Yukiko knows this, because she has seen Shao Ai's strength. She is stronger than her it's not a little bit. Thinking that her strength is not as good as that of a child, Yukiko's heart is particularly uncomfortable. A child should look like a child, and don't use violence. Yuchizi taught Shao Ai a lesson. You are an adult. It's really ashamed of you that you can't even compare to a child. You are too weak. Shao Ai looked at Yuchizi with contempt. Yuchizi suddenly became impatient, if possible. Now Yuchizi really wants to beat Shao Ai, but if the opponent really does it, she will be beaten by Shao Ai. That face will be lost. Especially now that there is concubine Yingri present. At that time, the disgraceful face will be seen by concubine Yingri. That way, I won't be teased by concubine Yingri. Yushizi can't afford to lose that person. HMPH, I don't have the same knowledge as you. Yuchizi said angrily, and then deliberately got closer to Chen, just for the purpose of angering Shao Ai. Don't think that she doesn't know what Shao Ai's thoughts are, as a woman. She is very sensitive to these things, even Shao Ai is very sensitive. No matter how well she hides it, she can't escape her eyes. The expression on Shao Ai's face is even more unsightly, and she also knows that Yukiko is acting for herself on purpose. Fei Yingli looks at Yukiko in surprise. Yukiko is so calculating, and she still compares with a little girl. Chapter 1095. Are you really Shao Ai? Shao Ai is just a child. Why do you care so much about her? Fei Ying said to Shao Ai involuntarily. You're just treating her as a child now, but she's not a good child. Yukiko glanced at Shao Ai and said. Shao Ai is very smart. There is Shizi in this point, but I don't understand that she suffered from Shao Ai just now. It's quite comfortable on this mountain. Chen sat on the top of the mountain and felt very comfortable with the autumn wind blowing. Especially today's weather is very good. Okay, it's good to go out and play. It's very relaxing. Fei Yingli came over, sat beside Zhang Chen, and said with a smile. Yeah, I feel very relaxed. Especially for you. Fei Yingli was usually busy and didn't have time to rest at all. Now it's good to go out and play and relax. When are we going down the mountain? Fei Yingli asked Chen. Climbing the mountain wasted a lot of time, and then they spent a lot of time on the top of the mountain. If they didn't go down the mountain, it would be dark in a while. How about going down the mountain now? Chen stood up and said. After all, they didn't bring a tent or anything, and they didn't plan to spend the night on the mountain. Let's go. Chen shouted to Yuchizi and Xiao Yu who were fighting. Seeing Yuchizi and Xiao Ai who were fighting, Chen was also quite speechless. He just didn't look at it. Why did he still pinch it? Go back, can you wait until you go back and then pinch? Chen asked them. It's on Chen's face. I'll let you go this time. Little girl, next time I won't hold back. I will definitely teach you a good lesson. Yukiko raised her fist and protested towards Xiao Ai. HMPH, you're just asking for your price. Xiao Ai snorted coldly. Have the ability to really fight with me. Xiaoai looked at Yuqizi a little unpleasant. Don't ask why. Anyway, Xiaoai is seeing her a little unpleasant. Do you really think I'd be afraid of you? No, I just don't want to bully you, this little girl. Yuqizi pouted and said with a contemptuous pouting. In fact, Yukiko has a guilty conscience. In terms of strength, I have to say that Yukiko really can't compare with Xiaoai. Of course, Yukiko thinks that this is not a matter of talent. Yukiko thinks that it is the reason why she has been exposed to ninjutsu for too short time. After all, Xiaoai has practiced earlier than her. If you contact her at the same time, Yukiko feels that her strength should be able to surpass Xiaoai. Morning. Don't say I'm a little girl. Xiaoai said with a blank face. I think you both need to clean up, but don't force me to clean up both of you. Chen looked at the two of them and said. Got it. It feels like you're protecting her more. Yuqizi pouted, feeling a little jealous inexplicably. Am I protecting Xiaoai more? Chen was stunned for a moment, but he didn't feel that way. He didn't seem to be protecting Xiaoai on purpose. Hurry down the mountain, or it's too late. You guys stay here, let's go Yingri, we won't wait for them. Chen reached out and took Fei Yingri's hand, and then went straight down the mountain. Hey, Chen, wait a minute, don't leave us behind. Yukiko ran over immediately. Xiaoai snorted softly, and then Tsunere followed. Fei Yingli was held by Chen's hand, and felt very hurt in her heart, but she finally got rid of the hurt in her heart. It felt good, and she actually liked it very much in her heart. I'm tired. I can't walk anymore, Xiaoai suddenly said to Chen. Chen turned back and looked at Xiaoai, who looked at him pitifully, and couldn't help but stunned for a moment. This is still Xiaoai. This is the first time to show such an expression. Chen was stunned for a moment. Is this pitiful and cute person in front of him really Tsunere? Asked Xiaoai. Could it be something wrong? Are you really Xiaoai? Could it be that you have been replaced? Chen asked suspiciously. You just got pulled in. Xiaoai said angrily. In fact, Xiaoai felt very uncomfortable when she saw Chen holding Fei Yingli's hand, and wanted to say something to interrupt. Okay. Can I carry you behind my back? Chen asked towards Xiaoai. Since you have already made a request, then I will reluctantly agree. Xiaoai deliberately showed a reluctant expression. Well, Xiaoai began to be frank again. It's not frank. Be careful to be a loser in the future. Yuqizi said suddenly. Asking for flowers. A sentence pierced into Xiaoai's heart in an instant. Xiaoai looked at Yuqizi angrily. Why did she have to fight against herself? In fact, there is a reason why Shizi and Xiaoai are against each other, because of the original plan. Now it has been broken by Xiaoai. So Yuqizi felt a little unhappy in her heart. Don't bother you to worry about it. Xiaoai said to Yuqizi in a calm and incomparable manner. Can you two say a few words less? Come on, Xiaoai, I'm carrying you. Chen said and walked to Xiaoai's side, and then carried Xiaoai on his back. For Chen said back her words. Of course Xiaoai would not refuse. He even made a face to Yukiko. You have no problem with Yingri, right? Chen asked the concubine Yingri. No problem. This is not going up the mountain. I can still go down the mountain. Fei Yingli shook her head towards Chen and said. Of course, it doesn't mean that going down the mountain is easier than going up the mountain, just that going down the mountain consumes less physical strength and is not as tiring as going up the mountain. Going down the mountain is indeed a lot faster, especially since the mountain is not so steep. It is relatively easy to walk, so it didn't take long to reach the bottom of the mountain. Finally down from the mountain. Fei Yingli breathed a sigh of relief. Chen they have nothing, but Fei Yingli still felt a little tired. Xiaoai, come down quickly. Don't get tired of Chen. Yuqizi came over, hugged Xiaoai directly, and then dragged Xiaoai down. Xiaoai glanced at Yuqizi angrily. Chen hasn't said anything yet. You just opened your mouth. It seems that you must be doing it on purpose. In fact, Yukiko did it on purpose, even if she knew that Yukiko did it on purpose. Xiaoai seems to have nothing to do. Only grinding Kiba. Don't let me take a chance. If I give you a chance, I will never let you go easily. Xiaoai said to herself in her heart. You must know that Xiaoai is very vengeful. This time, Yuqizi was remembered. At this time, Yuchizi didn't know the danger of the matter. When Yuchizi started to be targeted by Xiaoai later, he knew it, but he didn't know when Yuchizi would meet. I won't regret going against Xiao Azuo at this time. Yuchen is here now, so they didn't fight. Chen took them back to the hotel together. Chapter 1096. I told you, I'm so tired, I'm finally back. Fei Yingli sat down exhausted, and after a moment of Yukiko, Fei Yingli felt more and more that she should exercise. Let's go. I went down the mountain like her, but Yuchizi didn't feel tired at all, and she was very relaxed. This gave Fei Yingli a feeling of being compared by others. I don't want to eat anymore. I want to rest now. Fei Ying ideally went to rest. As for eating, Fei Yingli felt that she was no longer in the mood to eat. Let's go to rest after eating. Otherwise, it will be more troublesome if you are hungry at night. Chen said to Fei Yingli. Chen's words had a taste of refusal, and Fei Yingli did not refuse in the end. Eating is of course the food in the hotel, but the food is provided here. And the taste is not bad. They also ate, 20 Chen last time. After eating, Fei Yingli went to rest, and what was originally planned to happen did not happen. Because there is Xiaoai here, even if Chen wants something to happen, he has to bypass Xiaoai first. The key is that Xiaoai cannot be avoided, so there is no way out. Fei Ying was also in her heart, not knowing whether she was disappointed or relaxed. But she felt more disappointed. But Fei Yingli would not show it, and Fei Yingli didn't want to show disappointment. It felt so embarrassing. Are you going back tomorrow? Yuchizi asked Chen. Yeah, go back tomorrow. Could it be that you can't stay here at all? Chen forced to ask. Chen K doesn't plan to stay here any longer. He will go back tomorrow. He has already climbed the mountain once, but Chen doesn't want to do it again. Of course I don't want to stay here any longer, so I've decided to go back tomorrow. Yukiko was no longer interested. Let Yukiko go again, Jishin. Yukiko doesn't have this interest anymore. Early the next morning, Chen and the others got up and cleaned up, then they left and returned to Fei Yingli's house. By the way, I also sent concubine Yingri back. What I want is finally here. Yukiko took a piece of paper and said with a smile, what is it? Chen looked at Yukiko curiously. Of course it's the divorce agreement. I've already prepared it, and I sent it to Yasaka Kudo. He's sent it back to me now, and he signed it. Yukiko held Zaichin in front of her eyes and shook the tea. I originally planned to find concubine Eri to help me file a lawsuit if Yasaka Kudo disagreed. I didn't expect him to be quite sensible. Yukiko nodded in satisfaction. I am going back to work again. Fei Yingli sighed, then said, after a day of rest, I don't know how much work I have. I want to talk about Yingri. You, too, should take a break, so why are you working hard? You are not short of money now, right? Yukiko asked Fei Yingri. Now Yingri should not be short of money. After all, every time Fei Yingri earns there is a lot of money and there is not much spending, so Fei Yingli is also a little rich woman. You are right, but I think if I don't work, I will feel very uncomfortable, and I have that kind of feeling. Fei Yingli shook her head at Yukiko and said. Yukiko blinked her eyes, then said, can I say this is a dirty act? Touch tilde. His fist fell directly, and then hit Yukiko's head. Shut up. Fei Yingli stared at Yuchizi angrily and said. Yuchizi smiled shyly. Then she said to Fei Yingli. Actually, I'm just joking with you, don't care. How could I not care? I have the urge to beat you now. Fu Yingri looked at Yukiko. She really has this urge now. And she still has a feeling that she can't hold back. Yingri, if you really do it, you are not my opponent. I just let you. I don't want to know you in general. Yukiko said to Fei Yingri. Oh, if that's the case, why don't you give it a try? Fei Yingli stared at Yukiko and asked. That's right. Fei Yingri was a little unconvinced, although she felt that in terms of physical strength. Not as good as Yukiko, but in terms of combat power, Fei Yingri still thinks that she is stronger. After all, she has studied judo and knows some techniques of vigorous fighting. Relatively speaking, Yukiko does not know these at all, so if you really want to fight, Fei Yingri feels that she is definitely stronger than Yukiko. But this is just Yukiko in Fei Yingri's impression, but at this time Yukiko's fighting power is completely different from the Yukiko in her impression. At this time there is Kiko, but she knows ninjutsu. I am afraid that only one ninjutsu move will be able to defeat Fei Yingri. Forget it. Still don't try it. Are you scared? Fei Yingri provocatively asked Yukiko. Wow, Yingri, you're trying to find fault, right? I wanted to save face for you, but you didn't. Understand? Forget it. Looks like it's time to let you know Akatsuki my true power. Yukiko said dissatisfiedly. Just when Yuki was about to make a move, Chen suddenly took hold of Yuki. Wait a minute, you are going to start here, right? Chen looked at Yuki speechlessly. Yeah. Is there any problem? Yuchizi asked Shang Chen. Are you still asking me any questions? Of course, the problem is too much. This is home. Could it be that you want to demolish concubine Yingli's house? Chen said to Yukiko speechlessly. I don't even know the severity, and there is something wrong with my pregnancy. Xiao Ai said very sharply. Listening to Xiao Ai's words, Yukiko looked at Xiao Ai with incomparably sharp eyes. Humph. Xiao Ai snorted softly. 4_6. Looking at Yuchizi, her strength is stronger than Yuchizi's, so naturally she will not be afraid of Yuchizi. Forget it. For the sake of you being a child, I let you. Yuchizi and Xiao Ai looked at each other for a while, and then suddenly waved their hands quite generously, saying that he didn't want to meet Xiao Ai at all. Chen looked at Yuchizi, and she was quite thick-skinned. If you can't beat it, why are you still looking for so many reasons? If you can't beat it, just say it, don't be embarrassed. Xiao Ai glanced at Yuchizi, and then said seriously to Yuchizi. Immediately, Yuchizi felt unconvinced, but she was not convinced. Yuchizi was not yet impulsive. Magical movement is the devil. Knowing the gap in strength, Yuchizi simply didn't talk. Don't pay attention to Xiao Ai's provocation at all, just let Xiao Ai talk about everything. Chapter 1097. You also know that the food you made is very unpalatable. After staying at Fei Yingli's house for a while, Chen said, let's go back, so don't disturb Yingli's work. At this time, Fei Yingli still has a lot of work. It's not good to disturb Fei Yingli here all the time. It's okay, I'm going to push these jobs away. Fei Yingli shook her head and said. Push it. Why? Yukiko asked in surprise. It didn't look like Fei Yingli at all. Surprise. In fact, there is no other reason. I just want to have a good rest. Let's go. This can be regarded as following Yukiko's advice. Put aside the work at hand for now. Take a good rest. The workaholic has actually changed. Could it be because of my words? Yukiko asked Fei Yingli. In your heart, am I a workaholic? Fei Yingli looked at Yukiko. Is she just such an image? Do you really want to change these 29 images? Yukiko took out her cell phone and dialed Kuriyama Green. Miss Kuriyama, let's take a break for the next 2 days. Let's temporarily dismiss those requests for now. After receiving the call from Fei Yingli, Li Shanlu was quite surprised. Is teacher Fei Yingli kidnapped? Is there something wrong with you? Kuriyama Green couldn't help but say a word. Just relax for yourself. I've been feeling a little tired recently. Fei Yingli said truthfully. Oh, that's it. Naingri-sensei, you really should rest a bit more. Kuri Shanlu nodded. As for how serious Fei Yingli's work is, Li Shanlu is the most experienced, and Fei Yingli is definitely a real strong woman. Miss Li Shan also take a rest. In fact, Miss Li Shan is also very hard, right? Fei Yingli said involuntarily. Being her assistant is also a very hard thing. I don't think it's hard work. Teacher Yingli, you take good care of me, and I also learned a lot of useful knowledge. Kuri Shanlu doesn't think it's hard to follow Fei Yingli and has indeed learned a lot. Even if she is now a lawyer by herself, there is absolutely no problem. However, Li Shanlu has no such idea. It is good to be an assistant to Fei Yingli. It would be more troublesome if you were a lawyer yourself. You are serious? I thought you were joking. After Fei Yingli finished the phone call, Yukiko believed that Fei Yingli was serious. Well, I saw a news. Someone died suddenly because of work. I don't want to die suddenly. Fu Yingli said seriously. By the way, I plan to take some time to spend with Shaolin. Over the years, I have not fulfilled my responsibility as a mother. After Fei Yingli finished speaking, she couldn't help but glared at Chen, while Chen touched his nose. Then he pretended not to see. Let's go out and buy some ingredients, and I'll cook for you today. Chen's face changed suddenly. What a joke. Fei Yingli actually wants to cook, isn't that sure that she wants their lives? I think it's better to just go out and eat. Why is that? Trouble, Chen said quickly. Yes, I support Chen's words. Yukiko said immediately. Yukiko also knows about Fei Yingli's situation. Her cooking skills are even worse than hers. She still wants to cook at this level, and she doesn't know where the courage came from. The courage is commendable. Yukiko admires it very much, but admiration is admiration. But really let Yuchizi go to eat the food made by concubine Yingri. It is no exaggeration to say that Yuchizi Ning would die. It seems that the dishes you cook are very unpalatable. Xiao Ai said directly. The corners of Fei Yingli's mouth twitched. She really didn't give her any face, so she said it directly. Although the food I cook is really bad, it still makes me feel a little rude to say so. Fei Yingli said to Xiao Ai. Eri, so you also know that the food you make is unpalatable. I thought you didn't know. Yukiko couldn't help saying. I originally thought that Fei Yingli had no self-knowledge, but I didn't expect that Fei Yingli was not without self-knowledge, but had self-knowledge. I'll do the grocery shopping, Chen said. After Chen just finished speaking, concubine Yingri, Yukiko, and Xiao Ai's Qiguang all looked at Chen. You can cook too. What are you asking? Who told you I wouldn't cook? Chen couldn't help but said. Of course he can cook. How could this not be possible? It's just how well he did it. To tell the truth, Chen can only say that it's second to none. But you can't say he won't do it. I know a lot of things. It's just that you don't know it. It seems that I will show you my hands today. Chen said to them, really? I hope not to make dark dishes. Xiao Ai glanced at Chen, then he said, you look down on me too much. I can't do dark cooking. After all, my cooking skills are not that high. Chen felt that being able to cook dark cooking is also a kind of skill, at least Chen felt that he was absolutely not. Maybe made. No matter how ordinary it is impossible to cook dark food. It can only be said that concubine Yingri is also a talent, a kind of talent that ordinary people can't reach. The key is that the food made by Fei Yingli looks very good. If you don't look carefully, you won't know that 030 is dark food. Only by tasting it can you know. At least Chen feels that with his own strength, it is estimated that he will not be able to do it even if he works hard for a lifetime. Going out to buy vegetables, Yukiko didn't want to come out with her, but she was pulled by Fei Yingri, so she could only come out with her. You can choose what you like to eat, I can do anything anyway. Chen said to Yuchizi and the others. This is not a lie, Chen really can do everything, but he has not really studied the cooking skills and taste can say the level of home cooking. Not too good, but definitely not too bad either. What do you like to eat, Chen? Fei Yingli asked Chen Ji. I'm not picky eaters. Chen replied subconsciously. Oh, since you're not a picky eater, how about we eat the food made by concubine Yingri? Yukiko immediately asked Chen. Chen Wenyan raised his eyebrows, and then said to Yukiko, it's not impossible. As long as you can eat it, I can eat it too. That's fine, I'm afraid I'll poison myself to death. Yukiko shaking his head, he said. Afraid of poisoning himself, this sentence was said in front of Fei Yingli. Chen could feel that Fei Yingli was a little angry, so he subconsciously kept Kiko a little further away. Chapter 1098. In the kitchen of Yakusaizakang, Fei Yingli's house, Chen and the others have already returned from shopping, and Fei Yingli is standing in the kitchen. Yingri, are you really going to cook? Chen looked at Fei Yingri in front of him. There was hesitation on his face. What a joke, Fei Yingli really wants to cook, but Chen Ke doesn't dare to eat the dishes made by Fei Yingli, not because he is afraid of poisoning himself. How can Chen be poisoned to death? But even if he is not poisoned, he will definitely not eat the kind of strange things that Fei Yingri made. I just want to do an experiment. Fei Yingri and Guangxiang secretly Yukiko glanced at the kitchen. Before Yukiko said that eating the dishes she made would be poisoned to death, which made Fei Yingri feel a little uncomfortable. So now do an experiment to see if Yukiko will actually be poisoned after eating the food she made. Hee, Yingri, your eyes are so scary, just like the kind of murderer Qiguang. Yukiko began to worry. Yingri should not attack her. Thinking about it makes me feel a little chilly. Is it right now? Should I run over and beg for mercy? I'll see if I can poison you in a while. You must eat all the things I made, Yukiko. Hee, isn't this killing me? Ah, I'd rather kill myself than eat the food you made. Yukiko is serious, and thinks she eats the food made by concubine Eri. It's better than suicide. Really? That's what you said. Then Yukiko, you commit suicide and let me see it. Fei Yingli said to Yukiko with the kitchen knife in her hand. I'm just joking, Eri, why are you so serious? Yukiko simply slipped into the living room, listening to the strife in the kitchen uneasy. Is it that exaggerated? Xiaoai glanced at Yukiko, and then said involuntarily, haha. Are you saying that it is that exaggerated? The fact is even more exaggerated than you imagined. You have never eaten food made by Eri. So you don't even know how it tastes tilde. Yukiko thought of the taste of the food made by Fei Yingri. That was really killing people. I felt like my body couldn't help shivering, and the conversation changed. I feel like the food made by Fei Yingri. It tasted worse than what she made. In fact, this is Yuki's lack of self-knowledge. The taste of the food made by Yuchizi is definitely not much better than that of Fei Yingli, and it even looks exactly the same. Xiao Aishin didn't feel that way, but felt that it was too exaggerated. Even if it was something unpalatable, there are still many more beaches to eat. Anyway, Xiao Ai doesn't believe. You don't believe it, right? Yuchizi asked Xiao Ai. Looking at Xiao Ai's pouting expression, Yushizi knew that Xiao Ai didn't believe it, and suddenly Yushizi thought of an idea to pitch Xiao Ai. Should we make a bet? Yuchizi looked at Xiao Ai and asked A. At this time, Yuchizi's expression didn't show anything wrong. After all, she used to be a star, so she was very online in terms of acting skills. Flaw, what do you want to bet with me? Xiao Ai looked up at Yuchizi and asked Yuchizi. Although I didn't see Yukiko's weirdness, I told Xiao Ai intuitively. Yukiko seems to be tricking her. Well, if you can eat the meal made by concubine Yingri, you can let me do whatever you want in the future. Yukiko said straight to Xiao Ai. What if I can't eat it? Xiao Ai asked. You're so unconfident in yourself. You'd better say it first and then talk about it. Well, if you can't eat it, you have to listen to me in the future. Yukiko said with narrowed eyes. No, Xiao Ai refused directly. The risk was very high. This gambler doesn't want to say. Well then, you have to listen to me for a day. How about this? Yukiko relaxed the conditions. I want to pitch Xiao Ai. Yuchizi can't give up like this, so in the case of Xiao Ai's refusal, he can only lower the conditions. I agree. Xiao Ai thought about it for a while and thought maybe she could give it a try. She was very confident in herself, even if it was really hard to eat. Xiao Ai felt that she could eat it too. Even Xiao Ai has eaten the kind of bizarre food made by the little Izumi Yuhiko, so I can't believe that it is still unpalatable. Yushi Zizui couldn't help showing a smile. Xiao Ai was hooked, and she didn't believe that Xiao Ai could stand up to the meals made by Fei Yingli. It didn't take long for Chen and Fei Yingli to come out of the kitchen. Most of them were made by Chen, while Fei Yingli made only a few dishes. The main reason was that Chen was afraid that concubine Yingli would waste all the ingredients and would be hungry. So I can only do it myself. After all the dishes were served, Xiao Ai's face showed doubts. There was obviously nothing ugly in these dishes. Usually dishes are hard to come out, and usually very ugly. Urchin, did Yingri make this one? Yuchizi asked in a low voice in Chen's ear. Dowli was mainly clear, lest he would be struck by a thunderbolt. For Yuchizi, he felt that being struck by a thunderbolt would mean death. Chen pointed it directly to Yuchizi, and after Yuchizi nodded, she put the light on Xiao Ai's body. Chen looked at Yuchizi, not knowing what Yuchizi meant, and looked at what Xiao Ai was doing. 2 inches Xiao Ai, would you like to have a taste or two? Yuqizi asked Xiaoai with a smile. As he spoke, he pointed all the dishes that Fei Yingli made to Xiaoai, and then waited for Xiaoai to taste. Although the appearance of these meals is very good, even Fei Yingli's cooking looks even better than Chen's cooking. It's just that Yuqizi knows that what is called gold and jade is not good on the outside, and what looks good may not be delicious sometimes. Xiaoai moved his chopsticks without hesitation. But after eating it in his mouth, the money is good, Xiaoai's face changed immediately. Unpalatable, unsavory and indescribable, worse than the quirky stuff made by little Izumi Yuhiko. You won. Xiaoai came out directly. Then he said to Yukiko, although he didn't want to admit defeat, Xiaoai really couldn't help it. At the same time, Xiaoai couldn't help but glanced at Fei Yingli, and there was more strange color in the light. How did this unpalatable thing come about? Being able to make such dark dishes, Xiaoai felt that this was also a talent, and it was a talent that ordinary people could not get. I have to say that Xiaoai's thoughts are surprisingly consistent with Chen's. Zheng Chen also felt that Fei Yingli's ability to make such dark dishes is definitely an ability that no one else can match. Of course, there is also Yukiko. The food made by Yukiko can be tied with Fei Yingli. Of course, in terms of appearance, he is still Fei Yingli's good uncle. Chapter 1099. I hope you won't let me down. Shizi looked at Xiaoai proudly, and then said to Xiaoai, don't forget that you lost to me this time. Don't renege on your debt. Humph. Xiaoai just snorted. Of course she won't be billed. Because he can't afford to lose that person, Xiaoai is not the kind of pit Xiaoai who likes to default on his debts. Yuqizi is a little proud, but soon Yuqizi will know that it is too early for him to be proud. Concubine Yingri directly pushed the dish she made to Yukiko's side, and said to Yukiko with a stern face. Yukiko, you'd better finish eating it for me. What? Eri and we are good sisters, right? You actually killed me. Yukiko stood up and looked at concubine Eri with grief and indignation. In Yukiko's opinion, Fei Yingli is literally killing her. Let her eat all these things that Fei Yingli made. Yukiko said that she really can't do it. Yukiko really doesn't want to touch such unpalatable things. You are wrong about Yukiko. It is because we are good sisters that I will cook for you. I hope you don't let me down. The corners of Yukiko's mouth twitched. What do you think? I think you or I'm right in the pit. Anyway, Yukiko will definitely not eat such a damn thing. No, you have to find a way. 290 Kiko's eyes glanced, and then looked at Chen, her eyes lit up immediately. Yukiko, I know what you're thinking, I will never eat what Yingri cooks. Chen said to Yukiko with a blank expression. Fei Ying, who was sitting across from Chen, took a sip on the fish. Even if I didn't make it delicious, don't do it. Makes me ugly. Eri, don't worry about it. After all, if you taste what you make, you'll know how it tastes. Chen said to Fei Yingri. Fei Yingli listened to Chen's words, and finally couldn't help it, and tasted the level of the dishes she made. In fact, Fei Yingli felt that she was already very good this time. This time it was done perfectly. However, after Fei Yingli ate it in her mouth, Fei Yingli's face changed completely. Sure enough, he didn't have any talent for cooking. Looking at Chen, Yuqizi, and Xiaoai all looked at him, Fei Yingli still didn't have the courage to swallow. In the end, concubine Yingli came out and said with some discomfort in her heart, could it be that what I make is so unpalatable? Haven't you already tasted it? Look, you can't eat it yourself, which means I don't. You were wronged, Yukiko said to Fei Yingri. It's far from my sister. Xiaoai said faintly. She took a bite just now, but she still hasn't recovered from the bitter taste, and she doesn't know why it still looks good. It will suffer like that. It tastes worse than devil fruit. To be able to make such a meal, I can't describe it with pure genius. This is the evaluation given by Chen. It is really more unpalatable than devil fruit, although Chen has never eaten a devil fruit. His ability to get the devil fruit was not for eating. Anyway, Chen felt that the dishes made by Fei Yingri were the worst he had ever eaten, even worse than those made by Kushina. Yuqizi, if you can eat it, I will admit the friendship between you and me. Fei Yingli said to Yuqizi with a plate of tofu. The tofu looks good, but it was made by Fei Yingri. It cannot be seen from the outside. The appearance is just a concealment. Friendship. Forget it, there is no friendship between us. Yukiko said without hesitation. What friendship are we talking about now? Such unpalatable food, Yukiko can't eat it anyway, and the friendship between us is gone. Yukiko feels that even if there is no friendship, also determined not to eat, unpalatable to indescribable. It seems that the friendship between us is really fragile. Feiyingli said with a smile. In fact, Feiyingri was just joking with Yukiko. With all due respect, if anyone can eat all the things you made, CJ_E, I can kneel down on the spot for that person, Yukiko said. Don't talk about me, in fact, you are similar to me. Feiyingli was unhappy at being ridiculed, and said to Yukiko. What Feiyingli said was absolutely correct. When it comes to cooking, Yukiko and Feiyingri are completely the same. It's all about the same level. Yes, I know, I admit that my cooking skills are poor. Yukiko admitted frankly, but Yukiko then said, but Eri and I are still different from you. What's the difference? Feiyingri asked Yukiko. Of course I know better than you, I know myself very well. The food is not good. Yukiko said to Feiyingri. And Yingri, you should have a special experience in cooking, right? Feiyingli denied it directly. Don't deny it. The dishes you made before can be seen as dark dishes, dark and gooey. At a glance, you can see that it has become too beautiful now. You dare to say that there is no effort. Yukiko pouted and directly dismantled Feiyingri. Unfortunately, although the appearance has improved a lot, the taste has not changed. I really admire you. Yukiko looked at Feiyingri with admiration. Actually, I'm also curious about this. How did you do it, Yingri? Chen asked Feiyingli. This technique is really too difficult. How did Feiyingli do it? It's so bad in taste, but it looks so good. Chen he said that it was much better than his own. When he was in the kitchen before, Chen thought that Feiyingri's cooking skills had really improved. But after secretly tasting it, Chen realized that he was thinking too much. Dark cooking, even if the appearance has changed, it is still dark cooking, but the essence has not changed. Chen, do you still want to study with me? Feiyingli looked at Chen and asked Chen. If it is possible, I don't mind learning. Chen said with a smile. I learned how to cook, Feiyingli. Maybe a master who has no teacher to make poisons, he will become a generation of poison. Fortunately, Feiyingli doesn't know what Chen is thinking now. What, if Feiyingli knew, she would definitely not give Chen a good face, and completely compare the dishes she made to poison. This is indeed a bit excessive. If Feiyingli knew, she would definitely give Chen a crazy mess. This is the special skill of a female master. I believe that Feiyingli, a strong woman, should also be a master. I just don't know what the scene will be if Feiyingli uses this trick. I guess the picture is very beautiful. Chapter 1100. Don't understand female A's heart, Yukiko. Are you really going to stay here? Chen asked Yuchizi that they were planning to go back. However, Yukiko chose to stay with Feiyingri. Said to accompany Yingri, but looking at Eri, the disgusting look on his face, it seems that he doesn't want Yukiko to stay here at all. But Yukiko wants to stay here. Of course, I think Yingri herself is quite boring, so I'll accompany Yingri here, lest she get too bored. Yukiko said with a smile. I think you're more in the way. Feiyingli couldn't help but said. Eri, we have been in love for so many years, are you talking about me like that? It really makes me so sad. Yukiko looked at concubine Yingri's tearful eyes with a sad face, and looked very pitiful. But even looking at the pitiful Yukiko, Feiyingri remained unmoved. I know Yukiko too well, so Feiyingri can see at a glance that Yukiko is just pretending, but it's a bit like it. Sure enough, the acting skills are past, that's right, otherwise Yukiko wouldn't be able to become a famous star in the world. Since this is the case, then Xiaoai and I will leave together. Chen pulled Xiaoai and said to Feiyingli and Yuchizi. Well, remember to pick me up when I go back. Yukiko waved her arm towards Chen and said. Chen is very speechless, and he actually asked me to pick you up. Do you think I have time to come and pick you up? If I have time, I will come to pick you up, but if I don't have time, then you can go back by yourself. Chen Shang Yuchizi he waved his hand and said. Let's go Yingri. Chen pulled Xiaoai, and then opened the concubine Yingri's house. On the way back, Xiaoai glanced at Chen, and then asked him, are you particularly disappointed now? What disappointment? Chen was stunned for a moment, and then asked Xiaoai. Aren't you really disappointed? This time I ruined your good deeds. Xiaoai said to Chen faintly. You also understand co-authoring. You ruined my good deeds. I thought you didn't know. Chen couldn't help but said. Humph. Xiaoai didn't say anything, just snorted. Of course, I knew that it was bad for you, and I came here just to harm you. I don't want this anymore. Xiaoai suddenly said to Chen. Chen looked at Xiaoai suspiciously, and was a little puzzled by Xiaoai's mindless words. What do you mean? I don't want to keep the current primary school student appearance. Xiaoai looked at Chen said seriously. Before, Xiaoai wanted to rely on her own ability to change back, but now Xiaoai doesn't want to do this, but Xiaoai has not yet developed an antidote. At this time, I can only let Chen come to help, only Chen can help her change back again. Didn't you say that you need to rely on your own efforts? Why did you change your mind now? Chen smiled and asked Xiaoai, I just want to change my mind, can't I? Xiaoai snorted and asked towards Chen. Okay, of course, I didn't say no. Chen said with a smile. Forget it, I don't need you to help me. Xiaoai looked at Chen, and suddenly changed her mind again, causing a question mark to appear on Chen's face. How did she change her mind again? It's really hard to understand. Really I don't understand you. Chen looked at Xiaoai, then shook his head. He didn't understand, his thoughts were too complicated. That's because you are too stupid. Xiaoai said to Chen with a very vicious tongue. You have a lot of courage, and you dare to call me stupid. Chen pinched Xiaoai's face. Of course. Chen didn't use any force, he wouldn't really bully Xiaoai. Xiaoai fiercely opened Chen's hand and gave Chen a 2-Byakugan, but the moon looked ahead. No, I ignored Chen. When I was about to drive back home, Chen suddenly saw a familiar figure in front of his house. Isn't he that Kudo Yusaka? Xiaoai looked at the shadow in front of her and said. You can actually recognize him as Kudo Yusaka. Chen looked at Xiaoai in surprise. Did Xiaoai have seen Kudo Yusaka? Chen didn't remember that Xiaoai had met Kudo Yusaka. It's very easy to recognize him. Strange. I haven't met Yusaka Kudo though. However, I have checked the information on Kudo Yusaka. To be precise, I checked it by the way when I was looking at Kudo Shinichi's information. Xiaoai said to Chen. When it was still in the organization before. Jinju made her confirm whether Kudo Shinichi really died. At that time, Xiaoai investigated. Ask for flowers. Xiaoai's memory has always been very good. It is said to be unforgettable. As long as you watch it once, you will never forget it. At this time, Yusaka Kudo, who was about to leave, also saw Tatsuya's car. The pace that was going to drive high stopped. In fact, Yusaka Kudo Sukuru came to look for Tatsu, but he couldn't find it. Tatsu wasn't at home at all. So Kudo Yusaka was waiting here. It was getting dark now. Kudo Yusaka was about to come back tomorrow. At this time, Chen appeared directly. Can you wait? Kudo Yusaka stopped Chen, and then asked Chen. What do you want to talk to me about? Chen fell down the glass and looked at Kudo Yusaka lightly. Asked. I want to talk about my son. Of course, Yusaka Kudo is looking for Chen for his son Kudo Shinichi. Is your son Kudo Shinichi? Actually, if your son Kudo Shin equals doesn't cause me trouble, I won't pay attention to him. Chen doesn't want to pay attention to Kudo Shinichi at all, or he disdains Kudo Shinichi. Of course, if Kudo Shinichi comes and jumps in front of him, Chen doesn't mind giving him a slap to wake him up. But maybe this slap really won't wake up, just slap it to death, okay? If there are other things, I don't have time to talk to you, so get out of the way. Chen said lightly. Kudo Yusaka took a deep breath. To be honest, Kudo Yusaka was very angry in his heart. Anyone would feel very angry and feel that the other party did not respect him at all. In fact, Kudo Yusaka felt right. Chen did not respect Ito Yasaka. Just relying on Kudo Yasaka, does he need to give Kudo Yasaka any respect? Chen simply doesn't care whether Kudo Yasaka is good or not. Okay, I will come back another day. Yasaka Kudo stepped aside, looked at Chen deeply and said, he must have a good talk with Hyuga Chen. The main purpose is to understand the identity of Hyuga Chen, what organization he belongs to, and more importantly, with Hyuga let's talk about Tatsu, to ensure the safety of his son. Kudo Yasaka knows that it is meaningless to talk with Hyuga Tatsu now, because he can't find the bargaining chip. How can we talk without any bargaining chip? Ah Shan. _